in an age of endless information, the true advantage is not access, it is interpretation. Welcome to Aneke TV, where journalism goes beyond headlines, beyond reaction, beyond speculation. Here, stories are investigated, issues are analyzed, voices are challenged, because an informed society is a stronger society. A discerning audience is a powerful audience. We are live, daily broadcasting, relentless clarity. Aneke TV, where knowledge meets broadcast. Morning headlines before you step out. Midday updates while you walk. Evening analysis when the day winds down. Wherever life takes you, Aneke TV keeps you informed, connected, and ahead. Aneke TV. Move with the world. Across Nigeria's dynamic economy, enterprise is on the move. From the resilience of small businesses to the expanding reach of indigenous industries, commerce thrives on innovation. determination, and vision. Finance is evolving, powered by technology and driven by a new generation of entrepreneurs. In a rapidly changing world, digital transformation is redefining how we save, invest, and grow wealth. From energy to agriculture, manufacturing to tech, Nigeria's economic landscape continues to diversify. Policies shift, markets respond, and opportunities emerge. Every figure tells a story. Every trend shapes the future. The question is, where is the next opportunity? On Aneke TV, we bring you clarity beyond the numbers. This is Business Outlook on Aneke TV, tracking the markets, analyzing the trends, and spotlighting the drivers of economic growth. Aneke TV, informing enterprise, shaping perspective.
Every day, your health shapes your life, your strength, your choices, your future. Because knowledge is the first step towards well-being.
This is Health Matters, only on Aneke TV.
Welcome back, and we apologize for that technical error, and we are welcoming you to the market segment here on Aneke TV, and we are telling you that the bulls are firmly in control at the customs street as the Nigerian exchange eyes a historic 220,000 point milestone, but a shadow is looming from the Gulf. With Brent crude smashing past $100 mark, we are tracking a high-stakes tug of war, a windfall for our national reserve versus a certain spike in your logistics and fuel costs. From the 140 trillion market rally to the widening gap in the forex parallel market, we are cutting through the noise to tell you where the money is moving and how to protect your margins. And this is the Aneke TV Business Desk, where data meets destiny and your wealth finds its voice. I'm Uche Osai. Let's get down to business. Starting from the Nigerian exchange, the Nigerian equities market maintained its bullish momentum on Wednesday, April the 22nd, as investors' interest in the banking sector and mid-cap stocks pushed key indicators higher. The all-share index ASI edged closer to 220,000 mark, gaining 0.61%, approximately 1,336.39 basis points to close at 219,586.20 market points, and the market capitalization saw a significant boost, rising from 861 billion naira to end the day at 141.38 trillion naira. Market volume as yesterday stood at 683.58 million shares, coming down by 19% from the previous Tuesday. The total market value stood at 36.17 billion naira, equally down from Tuesday, about 19% as well. And market breadth, though positive, with 31 gainers against 28 losers. Top traded stock, First Holding Company led volume by trading 76.6 million shares, and value as well. Yes, he led the market in the volume and value as well. Speaking to the top 5 gainers, yes, our top 5 gainers, as yesterday we saw Transcohort, yes, they making a tremendous bullish stride in a 10% positive adjustment, to close his book at 223 naira 30 kobo. And Vitafoam was equally bullish, yes, closing his book at 143 naira, making a bullish adjustment of 10% as well. UACN closes trading book at 121 naira, making equally a positive bullish adjustment of 10%. And then CAP was equally able to close bullish yesterday as he made a 10% positive adjustment to close at 110 naira. Yes, Transfer Express was equally bullish as it closed at 7 naira 92 kobo, making a 10% a plus 10 positive adjustment. And then looking at the top 5 losers for yesterday, yes, Nimet, a pharmaceutical company, led the pack yesterday by closing his book at 9 naira, making a dip, yes, a very deep negative adjustment of a negative 10%. And Abi yesterday closed at 5 naira 95 kobo, making a dip of 9.85%. And Living Trust, yes, Living Trust was equally in the negative as he made a negative adjustment of 8.94% to close at 3 naira 36 kobo. ABC Transport, traded as ABC Trans, yes, closed in the dip as well, traded and closed at 5 naira 70 kobo, making a negative adjustment of 8.65%. H. McCall yesterday closed at 3 naira 61 kobo, making a negative dip of 6.23% negative adjustment. Now quickly, let's take a look at our market outlook for today. The outlook for today remains cautiously optimistic. Analysts point to several factors influencing this section. One is the banking sector rally, where sustained interest in tier 1 banks like UBA, Zenith, Access is expected to provide a floor for the ASI. Now, speaking to liquidity trends, while volume and turnover dipped yesterday, the overall Q1 2026 trend shows a massive 85.8% increase in transaction value compared to last year, suggesting strong underlying liquidity. And now, speaking to foreign interest, yes, foreign interest, where recent reports indicate a sharp rebound in foreign portfolio investment, is up to 107% as of March, which may continue to, drive demand for blue chip equities. And looking at the macro factors that spurs the market on, yes, and in our outlook, investors are closely monitoring inflation data and exchange rate stability, which have recently begun to attract, bargain hunters back in the market. Expect potential profit taking in the early hours on stocks like Transcohort and Vitafoam, following the maximum gain yesterday. Now quickly at the Naira performance for yesterday, where we'll tell you that the Naira showed relative stability with a slight bearish tilt in the official market as at Wednesday. Yes, as the market reacted to ongoing reforms and the central bank's push for higher diaspora remittances. Yes, we'll look at the current exchange rate, and at the official market, the Naira was able to close at 1,347 naira 60 kobo against the US dollar, indicating a slight depreciation of 0.03%, and against the British pound, the Naira heads way, a little bit stable, yes, indicating marginal stability to close at 1,821 naira 50 kobo. And against the euro, the Naira was able to hold stable at 1,532 naira 40 kobo. And then quickly taking a look at the parallel market, where we saw that yesterday the buying rate against the US dollar was at 1,425 naira, selling for 1,450 naira, indicating a slight bullish demand up at the street market. And against the British pounds, we saw a selling price yesterday of 1,870 naira against the buying of 1,814 naira, indicating a moderate volatility. And against the euro, at the black market, the naira was, the buying rate was 1,545 naira, and the selling rate went up to 1,570 naira, indicating a little bit of stability here. The official window, saw the naira fluctuate between a day high of 1,369 naira and a low of 1,349 naira using the official market flow, reflecting consistent price discovery mechanism. Now, quickly, let's take a look at the market drivers. Yes, one of such is the diaspora remittance goal. CBN Governor Olayemi Kodoso, announced a target to increase monthly diaspora transfer to $1 billion by the end of 2026, and this move is aimed at strengthening reserves and reducing long-term currency vulnerability. Yes, and again, we are looking at a reserve projection. The Apex Bank remains optimistic about the external sector, projecting foreign exchange reserves to hit $51 billion by the end of the year, providing a potential cushion for the naira. And then looking at the new benchmark rate, the introduction of the Nigerian overnight financing rate this week is expected to improve the transparency in the money market and enhance monetary policy transmission. Now, quickly, for one of the, let's run and take a look at our market projection for today. The outlook for today is neutral to positive. Yes, neutral to positive, with the following factors likely to shape trading. One is investors' confidence. Market sentiment is currently bolstered by the CBN's active engagement at the IMF World Bank spring meetings, signaling a commitment to market-friendly reforms. And then looking at liquidity levels, yes, traders are watching for increased forex supply from the CBN and autonomous sources following the recent banking sector recapitalization, which has already drawn significant foreign interest. And then another factor here is the inflation watch. While the naira has strengthened by over 16% in the last 12 months, persistent inflation remains a concern. Yes, bargain hunting and corporate demand for month-end obligation may cause minor pressure in the late section. Now we'll take a look at trading insight as part of the factors that will determine where the market heads to today. We expect the naira to trade between the 1,345 to 1,370 naira range today as the market consolidates recent gains while awaiting further policy signals from the central bank. Quickly, we are running out of time, and then let's take a look at the Brent crude performance. Prices surged past the psychological significant $100 mark on Wednesday, April 22nd, as geopolitical tensions in the Middle East reached a boiling point, overshadowing typical supply and demand fundamentals, closing at $101.70 per barrel. Daily indicating a daily gain of plus $3.21, making a positive adjustment of 3.26%. During the intraday, high prices briefly touched around $103 mark during the peak volatility period. And quickly taking a look at the market drivers here, one is the Strait of Hormuz conflict. Prices sparked following confirmed reports of gunfire attacks on at least 3 container ships in the Strait of Hormuz. This narrow waterway is the world's most critical oil choke point. Any threat to its transit routes immediately trigger a high risk premium. Now we'll take a look at inventory drawdown. The U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, data suggests a 1.2 million barrel draw in crude inventories for the previous week. This signaled robust demand from Europe and Far East, where buyers are scrambling to, secure supplies amid the Persian Gulf crisis. Now, we're looking at another factor that will determine the direction of the market, or spur the market on as well, is the geopolitical standoff. Uncertainty regarding potential ceasefire and the ongoing blockade of Iranian ports has led analysts to believe that a long-term disruption to the flow of oil is now a credible threat. Quickly taking a look at the Nigerian commodities market. Yes, the Nigerian commodities market, where we'll tell you that the Nigerian commodities market saw a mixed, performance as at Wednesday, April 26. Yes, April 22nd, 2026, as grain prices, stabilized, while export-oriented commodities benefited from the recent surge in global energy prices. A weaker local currency at the retail level, suggests the trend of market. At the FS commodities index saw marginal uptick, driven primarily by gains in the grain subsector. Market activity, focused heavily on staple crops as processors move to secure stocks ahead of the mid-year lean season. Now, quickly taking a look at the prices for yesterday, where we'll tell you that maize, yes, the average price per metric ton as of yesterday stood at 580,000 naira, indicating a positive 0.45%, showing a trend of slightly upward movement. Paddy rice per metric ton stood at 620,000 naira, yes, indicating a stable trend as well. And Shogun, yes, which sold at 540,000 per metric ton, indicating a slight marginal dip of a 0.15%. Soybeans per metric ton sold at 715,000, indicating an upward bullish trajectory of a positive 1.20%. Now looking at soybean, soybeans led the gains in the grain category due to increased demand from industrial poultry feed millers and a tightening supply from northern aggregation centers. And then in the open market, a 50 kg bag of local rice remains stable, retailing between 45 to 55,000 naira, depending on the region. And then looking at export commodities like cocoa, price climbed as a global supply deficit persists, with local farm gate prices tracking the international rally near the $10,000 metric ton mark. And ginger, had a moderate trading activity, as was recorded, with prices holding firm as exporters wait for clearer signals from the European markets. Now, quickly taking a look at the market drivers. Yes, the macroeconomic pressure is one of the market drivers, where volatile interest rate and high transportation cost, linked to the $100 plus Brent crude surge, continue to act as a price floor, preventing any significant drop in food costs despite the conclusion of some harvest cycles. And then looking at security concerns. Yes, security concerns. Reports of lingering reluctance among farmers to return to fields in certain regions have raised fears of a drastic shortfall for domestic manufacturers later in the year, keeping futures prices elevated. Another factor here is exchange rate impact. The widening gap between official and the black market forex rates has made Nigerian export commodities like sesame, cashew, and cocoa more attractive to foreign buyers, increased competition for local stocks. Now, quickly, for want of time, let's move along and give you our market yes, a market advisor for Nigerian investors today, or what you may call a tactical brief for today. And this is looking at the equities. Yes, at the equities, we are to lock in on high performing mid caps, but stay positioned in tier 1 banks and blue chips to ride the current bullish momentum. And on currency, we are telling you to avoid panic buying at the black market rates. Prioritize official channels where possible, as the current 100 naira gap signals high speculative risk. And on commodities, we are telling you to look at spot gains like maize and soybeans immediately. These are places to look. And on global energy, yes, global energy, we are telling you to maintain a cash reserve. Why market is hitting a record high, the Middle East shipping crisis, creates a fear premium that could cause sudden volatility. The bottom line here is that harvest. We are telling you to harvest gains from yesterday's winners and prepare for higher operational costs due to global energy spikes. In all, this is where we will draw the curtain for today due to time we are receiving signals. But we are telling you in all that you should stay informed. Keep your eyes on the numbers. I am Uche Osai. Invest wisely.
Across Nigeria's dynamic economy, enterprise is on the move. From the resilience of small businesses to the expanding reach of indigenous industries, commerce thrives on innovation, determination, and vision. Finance is evolving, powered by technology and driven by a new generation of entrepreneurs. In a rapidly changing world, digital transformation is redefining how we save, invest, and grow wealth. From energy to agriculture, manufacturing to tech, Nigeria's economic landscape continues to diversify. Policies shift, markets respond, and opportunities emerge. Every figure tells a story. Every trend shapes the future. The question is, where is the next opportunity? On Aneke TV, we bring you clarity beyond the numbers. This is Business Outlook on Aneke TV, tracking the markets, analyzing the trends, and spotlighting the drivers of economic growth. Aneke TV, informing enterprise, shaping perspective.
Good morning and welcome to News Around the Globe on Aneke TV. I'm Good Hope Chukuma, glad to have you join us. Headlines: alleged coup plot, suspects plead not guilty, remanded in DSS custody. On the foreign scene, Ukraine strike disrupts major Russian refinery. On business, federal government proposes debt relief for airlines amid rising fuel costs. Now the news in details. 6 defendants have pleaded not guilty to a 13-count charge of alleged terrorism and coup plotting before the Federal High Court in Abuja. The case is being prosecuted by the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, alongside Director of Public Prosecutions, Rotimi Oyedepo. Proceedings commenced with the prosecution applying for the charges to be read in court. The defendants include retired Major General Mohammed Ibrahim Gana, retired Captain Erasmus Uchegobia, Victor of the Nigerian Navy, Inspector Ahmed Ibrahim, Zekeri Umoru, Buka Kashim Goni, and Abdul Kader Sani. A former Minister of State for Petroleum, Timipri Silva, is also listed in the charge as being at large. The prosecution alleged that the defendants conspired in 2025 within Abuja to levy war against the Nigerians and overhaul the president, an offense punishable under Section 37, Subsection 2 of the Criminal Code. They were also accused of failing to disclose intelligence related to the alleged plot and not taking steps to prevent its execution. The court held that the charges include conspiracy, terrorism-related offenses, and dereliction of duty regarding national security intelligence. The matter has been adjourned for further reading while all defendants maintain their innocence. The Senate has raised concern over rising casualties from renewed terror attacks in the Northeast, urging the armed forces to take urgent action to halt assaults on military formations. Lawmakers observed a minute of silence in honor of fallen personnel and affected civilians during plenary. The Senate directed the Chief of Defense Staff and Service Chiefs to conduct a comprehensive operational and logistical audit of recent attacks in Monguno and Benishek. The review is expected to assess equipment adequacy, operational readiness, and rules of engagement. The resolution followed a motion sponsored by Senator Mohammed Taha Monguno and co-sponsored by Senators Mohammed Ali Ndume and Shehu Lawan Kaka. Lawmakers noted that the attacks resulted in the death of several military personnel, including senior officers. The Senate also called for improved adherence to international humanitarian law, enhanced civilian protection training, and urgent humanitarian support for affected communities. It further urged intensified efforts to rescue over 400 persons reportedly held in captivity in Borno South. President Bola Tinubu has approved a 17 billion naira National Social Action Fund aimed at accelerating grassroots development across Nigeria's 8,804 political wards. The initiative is designed to channel funds directly to verified community-based organizations. According to the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, the program will run through December 2026 and will allow communities to prioritize projects in health, education, nutrition, and sanitation. The fund is to be managed through a ring-fenced account to ensure transparency. The implementation will be overseen by a task force led by the Minister of Health, Professor Mohammed Ali Pate, with oversight from the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. In a related development, the President has approved the upgrade of the National Tuberculosis and Leprosy Training Center in Zaria into a National Institute of Public Health and Infectious Diseases to strengthen research capacity and disease response nationwide. The Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has resigned his position to contest the Oyo State governorship election. His resignation was formally submitted through the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Adelabu expressed appreciation to President Bola Tinubu for the opportunity to serve, noting that his decision takes effect at the end of April to ensure a smooth transition in the ministry. He also proposed the creation of a coordinating Minister of Energy to improve synergy between Nigeria's power and gas sectors. The recommendation is aimed at addressing structural challenges in the energy value chain. The development comes at a critical time for the power sector with ongoing reforms and efforts to improve electricity supply. Adelabu is expected to formally declare his governorship ambition in Oyo State in the coming weeks. The Kano State House of Assembly has scheduled the screening of a deputy governorship nominee, Muritala Garo, following his nomination by Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. The exercise is set to hold during Monday's plenary session. The nomination follows the resignation of the former Deputy Governor Absalam Gwazo, creating a vacancy in the State Executive Council. The process is in line with the Section 191, subsection 3 of the 1999 Constitution. Garo, a former commissioner for local government and chieftaincy affairs, has also served as a deputy governorship candidate in previous elections. The state government described him as experienced in administration and grassroots governance. Lawmakers are expected to assess his credentials and suitability for office. If confirmed, he will assume office as deputy governor, strengthening the executive arm of government in Kano State. The Lagos State government has commenced its 2026 annual medical screening exercise, targeting about 4,000 civil servants across ministries, departments, and agencies. The program was flagged off by the head of service, Bode Agoro. The initiative themed Public Servants Know Your Numbers focused on early detection of health conditions, including hypertension, diabetes, and cholesterol-related diseases. It also includes cancer screenings for eligible participants. Officials say the program has been expanded to include mental health services and free medication, with critical cases referred to the Lagos State Health Insurance Scheme for continued care. The government noted that the exercise is part of efforts to enhance workforce productivity and ensure the long-term well-being of public servants across the state. Residents of Obagu Ugwaji community in Enugu South have called on Governor Petermbah to intervene in a leadership crisis affecting the area. The dispute centers on allegations against the traditional ruler Igwe Christopher Ikenga. A faction led by former President General Freedom Obi accused the monarch of financial mismanagement and illegal land sales. However, a caretaker committee has dismissed the claims, alleging attempts to obstruct an ongoing audit of past administration records. Community spokesperson and former commissioner Aloy Obodo alleged financial discrepancies linked to a community development project, while the caretaker leadership raised concerns over alleged misuse of funds. The situation has escalated with reports of youth unrest and insecurity in the area. Community leaders have appealed for urgent government intervention to restore peace, ensure accountability, and prevent further breakdown of law and order. News around the globe is coming to you live from Aneke TV. Remember, you can stay connected with us on all social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube at Aneke TV. Now a quick recap of the major stories making the news. Alleged coup plot suspects remanded in DSS custody after not guilty plea. Coming up shortly, major Russian refinery disrupted by Ukrainian strike. Federal government moves to ease airline debt burden amid rising fuel costs. We'll be right back shortly.
In a world where safety matters and vigilance saves lives,
information is power. Awareness is protection.
from our streets to our homes, from local communities to national security, Security Watch brings you timely reports, expert analysis, and trusted updates on security issues that matter to you.
Stay alert, stay informed, stay safe.
Security Watch, every week only on Aneke TV.
Welcome back. Libya's eastern-based Coast Guard has rescued 404 migrants stranded on 10 boats in the Mediterranean Sea. The operation was confirmed by the Libyan Red Crescent in Tobruk, which said the migrants were intercepted under harsh conditions of the coast. Volunteers of the Red Crescent provided immediate humanitarian assistance, including first aid, food, and blankets, as the rescued individuals were processed on shore. The migrants are reported to be of various nationalities. The rescue follows a separate incident earlier in the week in which a boat capsized, leaving at least 10 migrants dead and several others missing. Authorities say search and recovery efforts are ongoing. The International Organization for Migration has repeatedly warned that the Central Mediterranean route remains one of the deadliest migration corridors globally, with Libya continuing to serve as a major transit point in irregular migration to Europe. Firefighters in Russia are battling a major blaze at the Twasp oil refinery for a third consecutive day following a reported drone strike. The refinery, located in the Black Sea port city of Twasp, is a key export facility. Local authorities say nearly 300 emergency personnel and multiple firefighting units have been deployed to contain the inferno, which has disrupted operations at the facility. Air quality in the area has reportedly deteriorated due to the high concentrations of toxic substances. Officials confirmed that emissions, including benzene and soot, have exceeded permissible levels, prompting residents to remain indoors and take precautionary measures. Environmental concerns have also been raised following reports of soot mixing with rainfall. The incident is linked to ongoing hostilities between Russia and Ukraine, with increased strikes targeting energy infrastructure. Authorities say full restoration of operations will depend on successfully extinguishing the fire and assessing structural damage. United States President Donald Trump has stated that there is no fixed timeline for ending the ongoing conflict involving Iran, as diplomatic efforts remain stalled. The White House also confirmed that no new deadline has been set for extending a ceasefire arrangement. Iran's lead negotiator, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, said reopening the Strait of Hormuz is not feasible at this time, citing alleged violation of agreement by the United States and Israel. President Masoud Pezeshkian also identified sanctions and breaches of commitments as major obstacles to renewed negotiations. The situation has led to a diplomatic deadlock between the parties. Tensions have escalated further with reports that Iranian forces attacked commercial vessels attempting to transit the strait and detained crew members. Meanwhile, Israel and Lebanon are expected to hold additional talks aimed at extending an existing ceasefire agreement. In business, the federal government has proposed debt relief measures for domestic airlines to address rising operational costs, particularly the sharp increase in aviation fuel prices. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, announced the plan following consultations with industry stakeholders. According to the minister, President Bola Tinubu has directed that agencies including the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria and the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority consider granting concessions on standing debts owed by operators. The government also plans to review multiple charges imposed on domestic flight tickets with a view to reduce the cost burden on airlines and passengers. A committee is to be established to examine existing levies and recommend adjustments. Chairman of Air Peace, Alain Onyema, welcomed the intervention, noting that aviation fuel prices have risen significantly in recent months. He called for broader reforms, including improved access to financing for the sector. The federal government plans to raise 700 billion naira from the domestic bond market (DMO) as part of its April 2026 financing strategy. The issuance will be conducted by the Debt Management Office. According to the bond offer circular, the auction is scheduled for April 27th, with settlement expected on April 29th. The exercise involves reopening existing bonds across 3 maturities. The offer includes 300 billion naira for the 17.945% FGN August 2030 bond, 100 billion naira for the 17.95% FGN June 2032 bond, and 300 billion naira for the 22.60% FGN January 2035 bond. The instruments issued in units of 1,000 naira with a minimum subscription of 50.001 million naira are targeted at institutional investors. The DMO noted that bonds qualify as liquid assets and are tax exempt, supporting investor participation. The National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has uncovered 2 illegal facilities producing counterfeit alcohol beverages in Lagos State. The agency said products worth about 250 million naira were seized during the operation. NAFDAC disclosed that the enforcement followed credible intelligence and involved coordinated raids at the Trade Fair Complex and parts of Lagos Island. Over 1,800 cartons of adulterated drinks were recovered. Officials reported discovering makeshift production equipment, including mixing tanks, filtration systems, and packaging materials used to replicate branded products. One suspect was arrested during the operation. The agency warned that consumption of adulterated alcohol poses serious health risks, including poisoning and organ damage, and reiterated its commitment to safeguarding public health through continued enforcement. Governor Lex Oti of Abia State has flagged off the construction of a 1,200-unit housing estate in Umuahia under the Federal Housing Authority's Renewed Hope housing scheme. The project marks a major step in addressing housing deficit in the state and follows collaboration between the Abia State government and the Federal Housing Authority. State officials confirmed that a 100-hectare site was secured for the development, with compensation already paid to the majority of affected landowners to facilitate smooth implementation. The housing estate is expected to provide affordable accommodation and stimulate economic activity in the state capital, contributing to broader urban development objectives. Now in sports, the Nigerian Rugby Football Federation has commenced a 3-day coaching and medical training program in Abeokuta. Ogun State aimed at developing grassroots rugby. The program is being conducted in collaboration with Ogun State Rugby Association, with sessions held at designated training facilities in the state capital. Chief Operating Officer of the Federation, Tunde Delu, said the initiative focuses on improving coaching standards, player safety, and medical preparedness in the sport. Participants are expected to obtain Level 1 and Level 2 certifications, positioning them to contribute to the development of the sport in Nigeria and align with international best practices. Super Eagles forward Victor Osimhen returned from injury but could not prevent Galatasaray from exiting the Turkish Cup after a 2-0 defeat to Glen Kabiliji in the quarterfinals. Osimhen, who had been sidelined with an arm injury, was introduced late in the match as his team sought to overturn a deficit following an earlier goal by the visitors. Genkleb Bliji sealed victory with a second goal shortly after Osimhen's introduction, ending Galatasaray's run in the competition. Attention now shifts to league fixtures, where Galatasaray will aim to strengthen its title challenge, with Osimhen expected to return to full match fitness. Now in entertainment, a legal dispute has emerged between media personalities Mayowa Lambe and Robi Ao following allegations made in a recent interview. Lambe, through her legal representatives, has issued a cease and desist order demanding a retraction of statements she describes as defamatory. The notice also seeks a public apology. Her legal team is requesting damages amounting to 100 million naira and has given a 48-hour deadline for compliance, failing which further legal action may be pursued. Development has attracted reactions within the entertainment industry, with observers noting that the matter may proceed to court if both parties fail to reach an amicable resolution. And finally, before we go on news around the globe, a recap of our top stories. 6 defendants, including retired Major General Mohammed Ibrahim Gana and retired Captain Erasmus Ochegobia Victor of the Nigerian Navy, have pleaded not guilty to a 13-count charge of alleged terrorism and coup plotting before the Federal High Court in Abuja. The prosecution, led by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Lateef Fagbemi, informed the court that the defendants conspired to levy war against the Nigerian state. The trial judge subsequently ordered that the accused persons be remanded in the custody of the Department of State Services pending further hearing. A major oil refinery in Tuapse, Russia, has been severely disrupted following a reported Ukrainian drone strike, triggering a fire that has lasted several days. Emergency response teams have been deployed to contain the blaze, while authorities warn of deteriorating air quality due to toxic emissions. The attack is part of ongoing hostilities between Russia and Ukraine, with increasing strikes targeting critical energy infrastructure. The federal government has initiated measures to provide financial relief to domestic airlines facing rising operational costs driven by increased aviation fuel prices. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Kiyamo disclosed that President Bola Tinubu has directed relevant agencies to consider debt concessions for airline operators. The intervention is aimed at stabilizing the aviation sector and sustaining domestic flight operations. That's news around the globe on Aneke TV. For more news and live updates, follow us across all social media platforms, Facebook and YouTube at Aneke TV. I'm Goodhope Chukuma. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Abia State, nicknamed God's own state, was created on August 27, 1991, from the old Imo state by the military administration of General Ibrahim Babangida. Its name, Abia, is an acronym for Aba, Bende, Isikwato, and Afiuku Umahia, the four major areas that initially comprised the state. The state lies in Nigeria's southeast and is inhabited predominantly by the Igbo ethnic group, who are known for their enterprise, hospitality, and vibrant cultural practices. Before state creation, the region was part of the Eastern region and played notable roles in Nigeria's pre- and post-independence history. One landmark event was Aba Women's Riot of 1929, a mass protest by women against colonial taxation, which began in the Aba area and influenced policy changes across Nigeria. Abia State is naturally endowed with fertile soil for agriculture and solid mineral resources such as limestone, kaolin, and laterite. Oil and gas are also found in some parts of the state, making it one of Nigeria's oil-producing areas. Economically, Aba is a powerhouse of trade and manufacturing, especially in textiles, leather works, and metal fabrication, earning it the nickname Japan of Africa. Abia State's cuisine reflects Igbo culinary traditions with popular dishes including achi and oha soup. It is a thickened soup made from oha leaves and achi seeds. Okazi soup. It is rich with okazi leaves and cocoyam paste. Abacha, African salad, made from cassava flakes, palm oil, and local spices. Ofe nsala, white soup, a light soup often cooked with fresh fish, beef, or chicken. Palm wine, a traditional beverage tapped fresh from raffia or oil palm trees. Abia State has different notable attractions, and they include National War Museum Umuahia, housing relics and weapons from the Nigerian Civil War. Akwete Weaving Village, famous for its centuries-old traditional cloth weaving. Azumiri Blue River. This is known for its clear blue waters and scenic beauty. Amakama Wooden Cave, a natural hollow in a giant tree with cultural significance. Long Juju of Arochukwu, an ancient shrine and historic slave trade route site. Abia State celebrates various cultural festivals such as New Yam Festival, Iriji, marking the start of the harvest season. Ekpe Festival, a masquerade and dance tradition in Arochukwu and other areas. Akwete Festival, celebrating the art and heritage of Akwete weaving. Aba Carnival. This carnival showcases dance, music, and colorful parades. Abia State is known for its entrepreneurship and Aba-made goods like shoes, bags, clothes, and mechanical fabrications. It is also known for agriculture, especially cassava, yam, oil palm, and cocoa, cultural craftsmanship like Akwete cloth, pottery, and wood carving, and their historic significance, especially in women's rights activism. 1929 Aba Women's Riot.
In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle, and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
Abia State, nicknamed God's own state, was created on August 27, 1991, from the old Imo state by the military administration of General Ibrahim Babangida. Its name, Abia, is an acronym for Aba, Bende, Isikwato, and Afiuku Umahia, the four major areas that initially comprised the state. The state lies in Nigeria's southeast and is inhabited predominantly by the Igbo ethnic group, who are known for their enterprise, hospitality, and vibrant cultural practices. Before state creation, the region was part of the Eastern region and played notable roles in Nigeria's pre- and post-independence history. One landmark event was Aba Women's Riot of 1929, a mass protest by women against colonial taxation, which began in the Aba area and influenced policy changes across Nigeria. Abia State is naturally endowed with fertile soil for agriculture and solid mineral resources such as limestone, kaolin, and laterite. Oil and gas are also found in some parts of the state, making it one of Nigeria's oil-producing areas. Economically, Aba is a powerhouse of trade and manufacturing, especially in textiles, leather works, and metal fabrication, earning it the nickname Japan of Africa. Abia State's cuisine reflects Igbo culinary traditions with popular dishes including achi and oha soup. It is a thickened soup made from oha leaves and achi seeds. Okazi soup. It is rich with okazi leaves and cocoyam paste. Abacha, African salad, made from cassava flakes, palm oil, and local spices. Ofe nsala, white soup, a light soup often cooked with fresh fish, beef or chicken. Palm wine, a traditional beverage tapped fresh from raffia or oil palm trees. Abia State has different notable attractions, and they include National War Museum Umuahia, housing relics and weapons from the Nigerian Civil War. Akwete Weaving Village, famous for its centuries-old traditional cloth weaving. Azumiri Blue River. This is known for its clear blue waters and scenic beauty. Amakama Wooden Cave, a natural hollow in a giant tree with cultural significance. Long Juju of Arochukwu, an ancient shrine and historic slave trade route site. Abia State celebrates various cultural festivals such as New Yam Festival, Iriji, marking the start of the harvest season. Ekpe Festival, a masquerade and dance tradition in Arochukwu and other areas. Akwete Festival, celebrating the art and heritage of Akwete weaving. Aba Carnival. This carnival showcases dance, music, and colorful parades. Abia State is known for its entrepreneurship and Aba-made goods like shoes, bags, clothes, and mechanical fabrications. It is also known for agriculture, especially cassava, yam, oil palm, and cocoa, cultural craftsmanship like Akwete cloth, pottery, and wood carving, and their historic significance, especially in women's rights activism. 1929 Aba Women's Riot.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, 042. Pleasant greetings to everyone watching. You're tuning to Sunrise, where for Aneke TV, where every sunrise begins with purpose, delightfulness, and joy. Bringing you today's daily dose of brightness and peace. I'm Good Hope Chukuma, coming to you live from our studio here in vibrant Enugu.
And good morning to you and to our global audience. I'm Uche Osai. They say, keep your face always towards the sunshine, and shadows will fall behind you. Well, the sun is up, the coffee is hot, and we are here to make sure you don't just witness this day. You own it. Thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful morning. We are here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
It's Thursday, 23rd of April, 2026. So it's a new and wonderful edition of Sunrise. It's a power-packed morning with the latest news, weather, business, hot topics, stock update, and that Sunrise pack to help you on the day.
So, grab that cup of coffee or tea. Enjoy the ride, because the sunrise is here.
Coming up shortly, we'll kick things off with our quote of the day, something thoughtful to shift your perspective and help you stay well-driven or focused.
Then, it's straight into the day's top headlines. All the key news update that you need to remain informed will be shared, hot, tasty, and of course, debated.
We'll also give you a full weather forecast for cities across the southeast and beyond, so you know what to expect before stepping out.
And later, we'll give you the business updates and perhaps step aside to unleash the man of many parts, the sports oracle himself.
Now we go back to the quote of the day. That's our inspiration segment, which says, someone is sitting in the shade of today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. This quote is from Warren Buffett, the billionaire. He said that someone is sitting in the shade of today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Someone is sitting, someone is having shelter because someone had a plan years ago. Someone thought it wise to start something, to make a move. Someone thought it wise to build something, to, someone had a vision, someone had an inspiration, and then they did not just have these things, they went further to establish it. They planted. When you talk about this, you're talking about how many people who are living in our world today are just full of visions, but they are not full of action. Telling you that when you move ahead to take action in a particular place, when you have the vision, it means that you are not just planting for yourself, you are also planting, you are also getting ready for other people to be under your shade. Talking about this in the telecommunication world, many people who are billionaires, many people who are at the forefront of the game, they thought about it and they looked at it that it would be good for the world to be connected together, for families to come in union, and for communications to be free. I mean, when I mean free, it means that there will be free flow of communication, and they went further. They had to go ahead to build something, and when they built it, people, millions, have now come to benefit from that. And today is not the wrong day, rather today is the right day for you to build something. Today is the right day for you to see into the future and see what you can do for your generation. Today is the right day. Now is the time for you to take up that dream and run with it. It is very important to know that time is not just on your side. Time is also moving, so you have to move with time and you have to build something.
All right, what a beautiful quote from a very intelligent, powerful man in the world, a businessman at that. And he is saying someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. When we translate this to our client, Warren Buffett is telling us to sit up. Yes, relating it to our situation, I mean to remind you that the infrastructures you enjoy today is because someone did something yesterday. Someone put those infrastructures in place. They did put it in place because someone at that time exercised their civic duties. Someone didn't give excuse. Someone didn't take a better option of relaxing. Someone didn't choose not to participate. They didn't choose political apathy. They chose to be involved. And they made a decision that trusted upon this nation, men, women who worked for the interest, the good of this nation, thereby making available the infrastructures that we use today. You fly through the airports. Have you over time asked yourself, which of the government, which of the leadership did build the airport, the facility you're using today? There was a time when the rail system worked because we had a leadership that built that infrastructure, made it possible to transport agricultural produce from the north to the south. We speak of an era when there was a granite pyramid in the north, when the palm oil from the east fed the nation. We speak of a glowing period when the Nigerian coca from the southwest was sought after from all over the world. Yes, because people participated and did the right thing. And today, we enjoy these facilities. Just like Warren Buffett is telling us that we are enjoying the shade today because someone made it happen in the past. Therefore, we urge you to do the same for the generation to come. We have to participate. We have to get involved. We have to shed away every tone of political apathy, exercise our civic responsibility to ensure that we elect leaders who would work for today in the interest of the generation next. Leaders who take it upon themselves to see that we have the right infrastructure, that there are passable roads, that will have a railway system that will make it possible for you to leave your comfort in Enugu and then commute to work in Lagos, or move from Enugu and trade in Sabongeri market in Kano State. Yes, it is possible with the right leadership, and that possibility lies in your hand. Get your PVC, and if you are registered, dust it, keep it handy. Soon the hour will call upon us for us to exercise that civic responsibility. That's ensured that we had leaders in the past that made the infrastructures available, that gave free education to our children. Yes, we can and we will. Equally, we should participate to ensure that the next generation of leaders, the next set of leaders come 2027, are those that will prioritize Nigeria, the interests of Nigerians, to ensure that our children have quality education, to ensure that we have passable road network, to ensure that the right infrastructure that will open Nigeria up in areas of development and business is elected. We have the power. And we urge you in the words of Warren Buffett this morning to not relent, do not relax, participate in the process that will change the tidings for this nation.
All right, we go on a short break and we'll be right back with the weather report. Stay with us.
Law is the architecture of civilization, the silent force that orders society and defines justice. Yet, within its complexity, many remain uncertain of their rights, their obligations, and the protections the law affords. From the inviolability of human rights to the intricate doctrines governing property and civil relations. This is a platform where law is demystified, where principle meets practice and knowledge becomes empowerment. Because justice is not abstract, it is personal. You and the law on Aneke TV.
You're still watching Sunrise here on Aneke TV. Next, let's take a look at the weather report across major cities in Southeast today.
Good morning, Oka. The morning starts warm around 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. And in Oka, you may feel a bit sticky early on. As the day goes on, it rises to about 33 degrees Celsius to 35 degrees. So the afternoon will feel quite hot. Clouds will begin to gather later in Oka, and there's a good chance of rain or thunderstorms, which will cool things down and leave the evening fresh and calm.
Good morning, Coal City, and welcome to Enugu. The morning starts cool at 24 to 26 degrees Celsius, making it one of the most comfortable starts. By afternoon, it climbs to about 30 to 32 degrees Celsius. Rain is expected earlier here, and by evening, the weather is expected to be pleasant, calm, and relaxing.
Good morning, Abakaleke. Mornings start calm at 24 to 26 degrees Celsius. By afternoon, it can reach 33 to 35 degrees Celsius, making it the hottest. Later in the day, expect thunderstorms in Abakaleke, which will bring relief and leave the night cooler and easier.
Good morning, Owerri, and welcome to my favorite city. The morning begins warm and slightly humid at 25 to 27 degrees Celsius. By afternoon, things reaches to about 32 to 34 degrees Celsius, and it may feel heavy. Later, rain or light thunderstorms are expected. The night is expected to be cool, calm, and slightly damp.
Good morning, Omahia. The day starts mild at 25 to 27 degrees Celsius, then gradually rises to about 31 to 33 degrees Celsius. By evening, rain showers are likely, helping to cool everything down. Nighttime will feel cool, peaceful, and comfortable in Omahia.
So, wherever you are in the southeast today, stay safe, stay cool, dress light, and keep an umbrella close. Rain or shine, we've got you covered. And that's your weather report here on Sunrise on Aneke TV. We'll take a short break and we'll return with more updates. Stay with us.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Welcome back. Now let's take a quick look at what's making the front page headlines across major newspapers today, from the Daily Trust, Vanguard, The Nation, The Punch, and the rest of the papers. Today we're starting with the Punch headline, which says 2027 suspense as Supreme Court delays PDP ADC verdict. On the Guardian headlines, we have debate over security strategy as Senate demands rescue of 416 captives. On the Nation headline, we have coup plot suspects to get speedy trial from Monday. Now on the Daily Trust, we have 72-hour deadline. Borno families fear for 416 captives. Now on the Vanguard, we have Vanguard economic discourse. How Nigeria can achieve food security, says experts. How Nigerian can achieve food security. Now, we're looking at this headline, and at the Vanguard economic discourse, experts outline strategies for Nigeria to achieve food security, including boosting local agricultural production, improving infrastructure, supporting farmers, and implementing policies to stabilize food supply and prices. This is from the Vanguard economic discourse that was held just few hours ago, where the experts are together. They came together to, have a discussion, a grind, a mental accession, a mental rubbing of minds on how Nigeria can move forward in the food security issues that we've been having. Of course, first of all, you know that in our agricultural sector, agriculture is one of the major issue that we have been having over time as a nation, looking at the insecurity issues that have come up from basically from the food basket of the nation, that's Benue. And just last week there were other issues that came up in Benue that has affected even lives and the people who are farming. This is not just in Benue, but across the northeast states, where agriculture is predominantly how the average Nigerian survive and how the nation survives, of course. Now, talking about it, some states in Nigeria have actually made moves to see that agriculture is going to be sustained. And talking about food security, this is one of the basic need. This is one of the basic need of man, especially the average Nigerian, and even those in the government. And that's why it's important to look into it, because looking at the means and the methods which this expert outlined, Nigeria is said to face a major hunger strike from August this 2026, looking at what is happening in the economy and across the globe, not just in Nigeria but across the globe, looking at how there have been shakings in not just in the oil industry, I mean in the issues from between Iran and the US and other things that are happening in the state, seeing how it affects the transportation, and not just transportation, the production of goods and services. Also talking about the use of fertilizers in order to have a good agro product. Seeing these things is telling us that there are many issues that are coming up that we need to look into. That why those in the market having their prices increased, citing transportation issues, citing economic issues. There should be more and more understanding, and government should put more effort to see that agriculture is sustained, that these things, looking at the food security and the building of a particular place where food can be stored. I mean, I think there's such a thing like that in Abia State, where if you're traveling across the road, you see it just by the highway, where it was said that this is a food security place where foods are being stored, where crops, I mean staple food and other things are being stored, and where fertilizers are being stored. Now, also looking at it from the livestock angle, you see that there have been projections from the Ministry of Livestock in our nation, where they say that there should be about $10 billion revenue generation from livestock, from the livestock we have in our nation. And that is to tell us that there are several things, there are processes which are being carried out, which are being carried along to ensure that our economy does not suffer. But I'm just going to stable this here today on the need for more government intervention, not just individual or civil society organizations coming together to formulate policies, but there should be need for not just formulating policies, but for implementation. For us to, as we're looking at the side of oil, we're also going to look at the side of agriculture, because we are basically existing by the food and by the fruit and everything that is relating to food. So I'm just going to hang it here, because it is important that we go into this as a nation, not just as an expert or organization, but as a nation. We should take this up. Yes.
Yes, it's quite important that as a nation we will look into food security, and when you interrogate the government, they will tell you that they are doing enough. We're looking at a federal government that projects, livestock to hit around $74 billion, and then to grow the agricultural food value chain to $1 trillion in 10 years. So they would always argue that they are doing enough. And this is equally, when you look at the numbers in the budget, that's where you get the intention of every government concerning agriculture. And this government would always argue that they are, doing enough to see to it that the agricultural sector is one that is well taken care of, that the issue around food security, wouldn't come into the narrative. And when you look at our budget, for agriculture in the 2025 fiscal year is around 826.5 billion naira that was budgeted in 2025. Then coming into 2026 fiscal year, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture did raise a proposal of 1.4 trillion naira, and if you look at these figures, it's encouraging, per se. However, when you look at the number 826.5 billion, budgeted in 2025, you begin to, look at the budget. What percentage is the implementation of the budget? This is what is more important than the figures that has been mentioned. Yes, it's good intention to grow livestock to the tune of $74 billion US dollars. These are figures that they are interesting, but it's about implementation. We're looking at a budget, for example, where the military was budgeted about 20-point-something billion naira for procurement, and that budget was executed to just around 7%. So it begins to lead you to begin to interrogate the figures and pander towards implementation rather than the adorable and romantic figures that the federal government mentions all the time. However, let's interrogate food security, for emphasis of audience and for people who may not really understand what food security is. When we speak of food security, we are simply talking about having reliable access at all times to enough safe, nutritious food for healthy and active life. Let me take that again. Food security really means having reliable access at all times to enough safe, nutritious food for a healthy and active life. Therefore, when you talk about, having food security, it's not just about a country, whether there is availability of food, is whether as a nation, does that the food, does it exist? Does people have access to it? Leading us to look at factors that would, when they arise, you begin to talk about food insecurity. One is availability. For you to say that your nation is safe and there is food security, food has to be available. When you talk about another factor here is being able to, have the food being safe and nutritious. This is a second factor. Then third, you talk about accessibility. Can people be able to access this food? Can they be able to access the places where they can produce this food, where they can purchase this food, where they can have access to it? That's to accessibility. Then another factor is being able to have access to that food, speaking to stability over time. These are the 4 ingredients that needs to be available for every nation to feel, safe and secure when it comes to food security. And when you look at these 4 variables, then we begin to interrogate the issue. Would we say that Nigeria as a nation need to go to bed and relax that this nation is secure when it comes to food security? These are the questions. So, and obviously, when you interrogate these 4 variables, you will see that we're already lagging behind. There is need to raise alarm. Speaking to availability of food, when you talk to availability of food, you now begin to question accessibility. Can our farmers go to their farm? In Nigeria, for example, the northern region is dominated to be the food basket of the nation. In fact, Benue State has it as its motto, the food basket of the nation. But this basket, at this instance, as we speak, is a leaky basket. Why is it leaky? The people can no longer access their farms. Majority of these persons are in, IDP camp, internally displaced persons camp. They can't go to farm. They can't return to their homes. Then let's travel through Benue, towards northeast. Where are the people? Can they go to their farms? I've had a very horrible experience in a part of this nation where we, somehow wanted to venture into agriculture, and we did. When it was time for harvesting, we were unable to access the farmland. Due to insecurity, we were looking for security to guide us into this farm to just go and harvest what? Just to harvest an ordinary crop. Speaking to potato, in this instance, we couldn't. In fact, at a point we gave up. And this is the experience of the wider population. When your home front that are agrarian cannot access the farm, you begin to talk about shortage, and we are having that now. Again, you talk about the food being nutritious and being safe. This is a different ball game altogether. In Nigeria now, a number of persons are speaking to, despite the fact that we are talking to and speaking to a consolidating economy, but the generality of the people, the masses speak of hunger. And you're talking about hunger. Yes, people now are no longer talking about nutritious food. What they are talking about is being able to have it available. Can I see the garri to drink? Can I see the rice? It doesn't matter if there's chicken in it or not. They don't care about protein. What they want is to fill the stomach at this instant. Telling you that there is a major crisis on our hands. We are dealing with insecurity that has left the people at home unable to go home, unable to access the farmland. Therefore, there is an increase in shortage of food supply. The available ones the prices given to inflation are no longer affordable.
No longer affordable.
Yes. People can't afford it. In fact, when I was having a conversation the other day with someone, he now tell me that people are now going on what they call 010, where people have to feed once a day. That some people have devised other means of a 101, depending on what they can afford. It begins to lead to other interrogation, and it becomes more worrisome that when you look at this UN Food and Agricultural Organization studies, their projection is that by August 2026 that about 35.7 million Nigerians will fall into the hunger index. What does that mean? It means that about 35.7 million Nigerians more are going to be hungry. What would that leave you with? When you have a population of over 30 million being hungry, then you've made it possible for the insurgents in up north to be able to have access to more recruits. They can recruit more people if they can provide food.
Yes.
And you've heard the former retired General Musa, who is now sitting in the Ministry of Defense, did tell us that when they accost and arrest some of these insurgents, they have in their they have with them foreign currencies,
yes.
Meaning that these individuals are even arguably better paid than our combatants, such that they can afford whatever they desire, they can feed well. And then when you have an army of hungry 35 million citizens, then they become a breeding ground for more insurgents. So as a nation, we need to be worried about this situation and expedite action on how we curb food insecurity in Nigeria to ensure that there is food availability, there is access to food, and not just access, yes, we can make it more nutritious and safe for people to feed on, yes, and we can make it stable that people can afford it over time. Now, what are the solutions? The solution is that in Nigeria, when you look at a population that is estimated to have exploded over 250 million, then the majority in that population, God bless Nigeria, that the population there is predominantly youths. So it gives you one solution in hand, that with a youthful population you have to launch into an agricultural policy that would empower these youth, enable them to be productive, go to the farm, or embrace agriculture in a way that it becomes more productive, you produce more food, make it more available, even to the extent that you can export. That's one solution. Another solution is to overhaul our agricultural method. Let us begin to move away from the archaic methods that we've used over time and begin to employ technology into advancing the agricultural know-how. I did over time during the build-up to the 2023 election and listened to our leaders, our present leaders, beautiful manifestos on agriculture. Then the question now begins to be raised. With these beautiful manifestos, why are we not seeing implementation? Which is why over time, I tell you that the Nigerian state will have good policies, but the issue is implementation, which is why I would interrogate and want the Ministry of Agriculture to furnish us with the implementation plan of the 2025 fiscal year budget of 826.5 billion naira. Let us see how it was executed, and a way we should be able to separate the recurrent expenditure, away from our investables in area of agriculture. With that, we may be able to begin to think that we will conquer insecurity, and conquering insecurity, you begin to make available, accessible more food for the people, so that it is the basic responsibility of government to cater for its people. And if your people are hungry, then who are you going to govern? Are you going to lead ghosts, hungry, kwashiorkor-ridden, emaciated people who are looking for a way to escape poverty? No, such a ground would breed more ground for terrorism, for insurgents to abound.
Yeah. Now, I think you mentioned something about government, helping the youth, bringing in, helping the youth to go into agriculture and all those things. Now, I think, first of all, we need to get the youth sensitized that on the subject of agriculture, that agriculture is not for old people alone. That is where I really want to, hang my boots. Agriculture is not just for old people, because what we are looking at, if you go to other climes, you will see young ladies, young men. I mean, I'm talking about around the globe, all these foreign countries. You see young people who are engaged much more in agriculture because they have seen that this is a way of life and this is something that they can actually do. It is not just for young older people, people who are retiring in the village, people who are getting tired of life. Agriculture, government should make it more, bring it to the limelight, should sensitize, should set a conference to where youths are being sensitized that it's not only tech that can be the move. Agriculture also is something that has a major shift in economic growth, because many people are looking at this technology, looking at advancement of their careers in other places. Agriculture can also help the young people. Now, talking about our nation, we don't just need the older people in the field. That is also when we look at it from the point of insecurity. We're also looking at it that young people can also be in the field to cultivate, to harness, and also to plant and to grow and make sales out of it. That would be something that we're looking at. Now, talking about the other side of it, we are seeing it from the point that government needs to bring in more equipment, like Mr. Uche rightly pointed out. We need to bring in more equipment which can make these things to work very well. And I am of the opinion that when one goes into something with their heart and with the right information, the things can really change in our nation. Yes.
All right. Obviously the youth for me is key here. It is one of the primary solution to be able to evade the food crisis that we may witness as a nation if nothing urgent is done. Yes, youth and private sector. While I was speaking to an overhaul of our archaic, agrarian methods, part of it is embracing technology. And in the world now, technology is being used to advance agriculture. And a number of times we wait for the seasons to turn around, where we wait for the planting season to be during rainy season. The world has moved away from that. There are technological enablements where you see irrigations. Yes, obviously this has been adopted, in northern Nigeria as well, but we can expand on that. So the key to food security in Nigeria, to escape the hunger crisis or the food crisis that we may encounter, is to encourage the youth, the private sector in this regard. And the role of government in this is not to, they can only spearhead and sensitize and create an enabling environment for the private sector to come in. A number of times I see government schemes where they tell you about youth empowerment and they give them wheelbarrow. Sometimes they give them shovel or machete and all that. And I ask a number of times, can this be able to take this individual away from poverty and make himself, self-sufficient or self-sustainable in agricultural production? So away from all this, we need to be intentional and improve the method. And intentional here has to do a lot with the government, away from our own method of political schemes, where we may not be able to tie the figures we see to the tangible number of beneficiaries and be able to track the dividends or the yields or the impact of such schemes into the economy. So ahead of that, we will be able to see that we'll get to food security. And again, a number of times they talk about the sustainable, the arable farmlands that we have in the north. It's time we'll start looking into that direction. But after all said and done, we need to be able to take care of insecurity in Nigeria if all these beautiful sermons are going to be realizable. And if we do not deal with insecurity, we may as well begin to prepare on how to contend an army of hungry over 30 million Nigerians if nothing is done about it.
All right, we go over to the Punch headline, which says 2027 suspends as Supreme Court delays PDP ADC verdict. The Supreme Court of Nigeria has postponed its ruling on key cases involving the People's Democratic Party and African Democratic Congress, creating uncertainty and heightening tension within the opposition as they await a decision that could shape their political future ahead of 2027 elections. We heard yesterday that this same news that the Supreme Court will be giving a verdict on the likes of PDP and ADC, notwithstanding the factions that have been created amidst them. Now, in the ADC, there are three factions, like we have rightly pointed out. The Dumebi Kachuku, former the presidential candidate of ADC in 2023 election, and then there's David Mark's faction that was delisted from the INEC portal just on April 1st, 2026. And we're also talking about the Nafi Balagombe, the one who has held up in the leadership position of the ADC that, that has claimed or has come back to allege that he is the rightful leader, that the whole thing was coordinated under an uncertain position. Now, looking at this and looking at the Supreme Court judgment, there are issues which have really given a turmoil or turbulence in the parties, citing that on August 30th, yes, May 10th, there will be deadline for political parties to submit their membership register, and also campaigns for presidential and national assembly election will begin from August 19th. Sorry, that was actually what I wanted to point out. And then governorship will be from September 9. I mean, the primaries and the campaigns, all these things will start, citing that from January 16th we'll have the presidential election and the national assembly election. And these things are happening, looking at ADC and the issues that are happening and the creation of factions and the things the party has said to be under duress to cite the Supreme Court judgment on what the Supreme Court will judge, looking at who the Supreme Court will judge or will pick to become the leader. Well, why the Supreme Court has heard from every angle, from every of the factions. Now also in the PDP, the Turaki section, and also the Yeson Wike, and looking at it from the Seima Kinde too. These sections are the major sections in PDP that has shaken that former opposition party, we could see, in the Nigerian political sector. This is raising a lot of questions on the hope of opposition in the coming elections, and also how the coalition, which is termed to be one of the force that will help or that will make the elections interesting, looking at how they have shaken to the roots, having three factions in it. A lot is happening already, and Supreme Court is yet to give their verdict, why they have postponed it for some time to come. I don't know what this is going to be, and looking at the registration from on May 10th as a deadline for political parties to make their membership is giving the tension, is giving the uncertainty, and no one knows what will happen unless the Supreme Court decides and gives their verdict.
All right. When one takes a look at this issue, it tells you the sorry state we are in, that as we speak, the fate of the opposition, dominant opposition political parties, are in the hands of the judiciary. What the judiciary will do with it, we don't know at this point in time. Over time, we'll keep speaking to a structural defect in this nation. And you look at our constitution, the defects that rise from the constitution, and you would believe that the Supreme Court and our courts, which are seen as arbiters, but also they are lawmakers. In fact, the courts are the fastest lawmaking organ, if I may put it in that instance. In the Senate, for example, we need to get a majority to vote for them to, come out with a resolution or make an amendment. There are processes, but in the judiciary, when they make a pronouncement, it is automatically law. And you would expect that such anomalies that we have in our constitutions will be rightened by the judiciary. I'm saying this because the constitution that we have, the 1999 constitution, still remains over time and arguably a military document handed over to us by the military, and you will see that it's such that protects the interest of the elite few in the Nigerian society, varying and giving power to the few elites to determine the outcome of many things in Nigeria. And I'm saying that now in regards to this whole scenario that we found ourselves in, where we are now hoping and waiting on the position of the Supreme Court to be able to know if there will be an opposition against a ruling party come 2027. See, irrespective of what arguments anyone can advance, will have a weakened opposition in Nigeria. People may trap up the argument that there are several political parties, that one can go to any of these parties. And I ask, what are the capacities of these political parties? Some of them don't have the capacity to bring out a councillor in an election. And then we are speaking to a presidential election where I have seen that presidential nomination fund or expression of interest from in the APC to be around 100 million, and then the PDP are setting theirs for around 50 something million. The game begins to tell you what is the capacity of these other political parties. Whether we want to admit it or not, we have a weakened opposition, and the opposition as at this time, it is spearheaded by the parties in crisis, in litigation. Having said that, the parties here have adopted their processes, and then the Supreme Court has reserved judgment. And what does that mean? It means that a date has not been communicated. The Apex Court can determine to give ruling even after the election is over. They can determine to give ruling after the expiration of the INEC timetable for primaries. Having this kind of scenario is a sorry state that we wouldn't want to be in as a nation, leading me to equally think that every Democrat, starting with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be troubled that we are in such position where our democracy is tilting towards a one political party dominance, a one party state. It will be worrisome to every Democrat, and is a part I know that may not augur well for this nation. Now, the Supreme Court, in this instance, speaking to the PDP, for example, PDP may somehow be able to field a presidential candidate because there is a recognition of a faction of the PDP by INEC. The faction led by Wike are recognized by INEC, are in total control and may field a candidate. And it is in the news that they've come out to face the prizes for their nomination or expression of interest form. The people so jeopardized in this whole situation is the ADC. Yes, they are the worst off, and they may not be able to field any candidate because going by the INEC timetable, as you rightfully cited that, they have until 10th of May to furnish INEC with the membership register, and without which the law states says that they cannot field a candidate in the 2027 general election, therefore giving the Supreme Court a period of 18 days to come out with a position, so that everyone, not just the politician, but the generality of Nigerians can know, and plan, going ahead into 2027. In fact, I tell you that the nation is held to ransom if there's no, judgment on this issue. And this is where, like the publicity secretary of the PDP, while interview, expressed their faith in the Supreme Court, in their ability over time to have righted and pointed this nation to the rightful direction, and they are hopeful that this Supreme Court will not shy away from rising to their responsibility of directing this nation on a path to follow. And I want to take solace in that after all said and done, we will have a Supreme Court that would come out timely, because anything without the Supreme Court coming out and being on time to give a verdict that would determine if ADC will be on the ballot based on its ruling and not being ruled out on technicalities, not being able to field a candidate for not meeting the time frame set out by INEC, then it becomes more worrisome and may begin to give rise to the naysayers at the other end, who have started pointing an accusing finger to the ruling political party as orchestrating the challenge, the coalition political party, the ADC, which is a frontline challenger to the throne of the ruling party in this instance. And if you look at the rhetoric coming out, it becomes more worrisome that people should celebrate the fact that we do not have, opposition political parties. It begins to tell you that there is a decay of the system. Is this the democracy of the yesteryears? Is this the democracy that was handed over to us? Now, let's look at it before the military incursion into our politics. Was this the sort of democracy that was practiced? Democracy thrives when you have a very vibrant, very healthy opposition in the land. A situation where you have a one party that thrives unchallenged is not, I believe, not the democracy that the medical advocates fought for. Having said that, I listened and I heard clearly the chief of staff to Mr. President, encouraging Abejide to continue to cause crisis for the opposition. In fact, that they will back them and support them. What would that leave you? A highly placed individual in the government is encouraging the crisis that is facing us, where party issues can no longer be determined and settled in the party. For me, all these issues we are seeing are kitchen affairs of the political parties, and should and can be resolved by the political parties without escalation or getting to the process where we are now, in suspense, wanting to know where the dangles will fall on.
The thing is that if the political parties are the ones to restore the issue, is it not INEC? I mean, especially in the ADC case, there has already been a antebellum, the Latin word already given to the ADC, which needs to be interpreted by the court, not INEC. And then they had to delist the National Working Committee of David Mark from the website. Is that not, that's not just on the political parties alone, because the political parties are already going for their own to hear from the court, to hear from the Supreme Court after the Federal High Court and the other court were not able to grant that, to interpret that particular thing, that particular judgment. Now, looking at it, is it not something that the court should interpret and should be very prompt and ahead with the judgment before May 10th, because there's no actually day that will be.
I have faith in our judiciary. I have faith in the Supreme Court. I have faith in the ability to stand truth where it ought to be. I do not expect the Supreme Court to come out and give a ruling that will have multiple interpretations. You know, I started by talking about the structural defects that we have, and it's quite worrisome that this decay has gotten into the judiciary, where judicial pronouncement cannot be a simple interpretation of where the situation is. And let me tell you, I am bold to state that it is the judiciary that has plunged us into this whole crisis. Yes, it is the judiciary, because I know that there was a Supreme Court ruling about non-justicable issues as it affects the political parties. If the Supreme Court had maintained this, the judiciary, if they maintain stand, we may not be where we are at this point in time. Remember that it was the ruling of a court in saying that the status quo antebellum should be maintained in the case of APC, in the ADC, sorry, that led to multiple interpretation, leading INEC to take a position of not recognizing any of the parties. And the David Mark-led leadership have argued forthrightly that in status quo antebellum means the position before Nafi Gombe went to court. And what is that status? The recognition of the David Mark-led leadership. And INEC in this instance has become somewhat partisan and has taken a side. What one would have expected to avoid this crisis is that INEC, having a legal department, would have approached the court to interpret what it meant by status quo antebellum in this instance. And if court had given that interpretation, we won't have this litigation at this point in time. In the case of PDP, INEC has gone ahead to recognize a faction backed by wike. They didn't refuse to recognize any of this to the lists entirely, but they recognize the faction, even while the other party led by Turaki is in the court asking for court to upturn the ruling of the High Court and the Appellate Court that set aside the Ibadan Convention. We've seen the position of INEC in Nenadi versus the former chairman of the Labour Party himself. We saw the position they took. They didn't delist the leadership of the Labour Party. Speaking to Nenadi versus Abure, they didn't delist the leadership of the party. What they did, they continued recognizing one faction until the Supreme Court exhausted the whole situation before Abure stopped granting interview and packed home. So in this instance, what's changed? And that's why I am calling on the point that we expect the Supreme Court, yes, that has, gone ahead, listening to the whole parties, and then we are waiting for them to come out with judgment. But in this instance, they should take into account the time implication of their position. In this very instance, they should take into account that the time, if this judgment comes either in for or against the David Mark leadership, may have implication for the wider polity. There may be several interpretations. If the David Mark leadership is seen, if giving judgment in favor of them, and they are unable to produce a candidate, given that they have 18 days to be able to, participate in the whole process, except the Supreme Court will come out to mandate INEC to vary its timetable such that these litigants will be able to participate in the process. Having said that, one thing remains. I would end with a proviso, and that is to our politicians. It is said that he that goes to equity must go with clean hands. They should, in all their dealings, see that they are forthright. You do not need to begin to dance when the position of the judiciary, favors in one part, like the PDP are dancing to a part of the rulings, and they are going back to the court to set aside another part of the rulings. If you are forthright, you may not need to go to the court, and if you eventually get to court, the court will stand, on the rights and set things right. So a lot is hinged on judiciary, but I tell our politicians, our leaders, they should remember that this democracy we enjoy today was won with blood. They shouldn't set this nation back. Yesterday we took individuals to court who were accused of trying to topple this administration. And remember, the military incursion into our politics in the yesteryears was necessitated by such situations that we're witnessing today. Go and read why we struck. Go and read why the military intervened in 1966. Go and read over time why the military have over time, gotten themselves involved in politics. Why several governments have been sacked by the military. In situations like this, where the politicians refuse to agree, refuse to play by the books, and are always wanting a way to turn the judiciary in their favor. And
we should not joke with this democracy, gotten not just on a platter of gold, but with blood. And this is one very important thing that we have to take into account, that we should actually know. And yes, and that's a wrap on this edition of Sunrise. Thank you very much for waking up with us. It's also a wrap on this edition of Newspaper Review. I hope you go out there and catch the full details online, or miss your favorite vendor and get the full details as it is on the headlines like we've listed before. I'm Good Hope Chukuma. Yes.
And Uche Osai. On behalf of all of us here on Sunrise, we say thank you for watching, and keep watching till we come your way same time tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Humility. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. It is the quiet dignity of those who serve when no one claps and rise when no one cheers. In a world shouting for attention, humility whispers truth. It chooses peace over pride and silence over show. It knows that value isn't in volume and honor isn't always visible. The humble carry unseen power. They lift others without needing a pedestal. And in doing so, they rise higher than ego ever could.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world. In the stories of ancient Greece, Achilles was more than a warrior. He was a hero whose strength could turn the tide of war, whose courage inspired loyalty, and whose presence commanded respect. His name had endured across millennia, a symbol of valor, power, and influence, a figure whose actions shaped destinies. Yet, Achilles' legacy was not only in the power he wielded, it was in how he used it. He fought not for personal glory alone, but for the honor and protection of those who depended on him. His might was purposeful, guided by responsibility, and measured by the lives he safeguarded. Today, Nigeria faces battles of different kind. These are battles fought not with swords, but with policies and principles. Our enemies are corruption, insecurity, inequality, and leadership that too often prioritizes ambition over accountability. These are struggles that affect millions, shaping the future of a nation rich in potential but fraught with challenges. The story of Achilles carries a lesson for our time. Strength without wisdom and responsibility is hollow. Power without vision can destroy more than it builds. Leadership in Nigeria demands more than force. It requires courage, foresight, and a commitment to the people. True heroism is not in personal triumph, but in the welfare of those entrusted to your care. The heroism Nigeria needs is tangible. It is reflected in leaders who listen to their citizens, govern with accountability, and deliver policies that empower communities, safeguard livelihoods, and create opportunity. It is measured by children in classrooms, families with secure futures, and communities that thrive. It is heroism that transforms potential into progress and challenges into triumph. Achilles' greatest victories were those that protected his people and honored his obligations. Similarly, Nigeria's most enduring successes will be those that prioritizes its citizens, safeguard their future, and uphold accountable people-centered leadership. Strength exercised for the common good, rather than personal gain, is the truest measure of greatness. As the nation charts its path forward, the message is clear. Leadership must be courageous, visionary, and responsible. It must fight not for applause, not for legacy alone, but for the prosperity, security, and dignity of every Nigerian. When strength is wielded for the greater good, it becomes enduring. When power is guided by principle, it inspires. When leadership is accountable, it unites. The chapters of Nigeria's destiny are still being written. Its future rests not in the triumphs of a few, but in the collective progress of millions. The nation's victories will be measured not in fleeting fame, but in lives transformed, communities empowered, and hope restored. In the spirit of Achilles, Nigeria must find strength that serves, courage that protects, and leadership that uplifts. In that strength lies the promise of a stronger, united, and more prosperous nation. One that honors its people, secures their future, and fulfills its boundless potential.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news, you need clarity, you need speed, you need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Sports Wrap here on Aneke TV, and I'm your one and only sports oracle, bringing you what's happening best in the world of sports. And today, as we've been looking at, a lot is happening in the world of football. There's been tensions around Chelsea head coach position, having a permanent coach, and so far it has been a problem because just yesterday Liam Rosenio has been sacked. He was sacked by Chelsea. That actually has shake up the whole team as they are expecting to bring in a new coach, and they are targeting Julian Nagelsmann. Now, not just moving over to that, before I talk about other things that happen in the world of sports, I have my main man here, Worldwide. Good morning, Worldwide.
Good morning.
Now, this my good morning is looking very painful if you're a Chelsea fan. Yeah. No, I mean Chelsea is
from Chelsea point
from
of view.
Chelsea point
they're
of
not actually pained though.
No. I mean,
very happy.
They are very happy. Yeah. How many times will you keep sacking your coaches?
That's the thing.
Since the era of Mourinho, since 2007, it has been a buy and sack.
For a very long time, more than 2000.
Chelsea no,
have gotten more than 10 coaches in the past 10
seasons, and that is really troubling. That's why I'm telling you, Chelsea is not a big team.
Let's leave that argument.
Oh, well, let's leave that argument.
You can't say Chelsea is not a big team.
It's you. It's actually you that is saying that Chelsea is a big team. Okay, let's say they are a team. And
what I told someone yesterday is that the God that vindicated Maresca will vindicate Rosemary.
Oh, it's not Rosemary, it's Rosinio.
Whatever Chelsea fans are feeling now, I used to tell them that maybe it's the same set of players we are going to see. No problem.
Okay, but
you bring in Guardiola. Let's see what is going on.
But did you see what's going on in Chelsea? Looking at Chelsea, how they have the same set of players. No new.
It's the same setup. That's
okay. Let's go from the front to the back.
Yes,
we're talking about Liam Delap.
The one that's injured now, their striker.
That's João Pedro.
You have
we're talking about Pedro Neto.
Yeah, Estavio is injured.
So
you have Garnacho.
Then we have midfield Caicedo, Enzo, and we have
the other guy is injured. Palmer is injured.
We have Romeo Lavia.
Lavia is not even 100% stable.
Yeah, let's say we have Romeo Lavia. Okay, we have Romeo Lavia.
Yes.
Then we have Cucurella. My Cucurella, because it's 5. Yes, of course.
You want to list 5?
No, 3-5-3. Let's do 3-5. Yes, Gusto here. Now,
I don't know
the centre backs we have Fofana. They should have not Chalobah, Tosin, Aradabioyo, and the rest of them. Now, looking at that same Chelsea team, they have not changed any.
And you're looking for a coach that is
for a world-class coach.
Come and do what with those same players?
Of course, I think. Do you think that the former Chelsea squad are far more better than this squad?
I mean, any of Chelsea's squad you list, whether in the past 4 seasons, whether the past 8 seasons. There is no squad. This is the worst Chelsea squad I've seen.
You know what I'm saying? They are better because you are talking about the likes of he went to Saudi. He's playing in Saudi League now from Cameroon. His name just came in inec. Very dark, and he's a defensive midfielder, and he's a defender too. Okay, you can't remember.
I'm not a Chelsea fan.
I'm not a Chelsea fan too. But basically, what I'm saying is that their team, since they had the Drogba, they have never compared that. They've not had. No, that squad is
after the Drogba squad. You come down to the real squad when they even had the other players, but this squad, I've not seen. Even when they had Jackson, even that squad.
No, Jackson's squad is actually better.
Now,
for me, Jackson.
And funny enough, the media is not talking about it too. English Premier League, they are not talking about this. Is the lab that is playing 19 minutes. How many goals has this scored this season?
You know the reason why they are playing the lab should play 19 minutes is because who will be in the lab?
No, he's playing 90 minutes. He's playing 90 minutes, but Jackson, Jackson is a black man. That's why they will always criticize him. No. But now, the lab is doing. In fact, the lap has not done half of what Jackson did when he was there.
I want to tell you something.
And there's no criticism.
I want to tell you something. Yeah? There will never be a time anybody who is not an English player will not be criticized. I'm telling you that if... The only thing I'm telling you now is that if it is left for English players, they have the best of the PR. The only person that if it was... Let me just drive this home. If it was another person that was Maguire...
Of course,
he would have been sold.
Anyway, Maguire even had a fair share of criticism.
No. It was not from the English media.
Of course.
It was not just from...
He was criticized.
No, he was criticized, but it was to tell you how bad he is that they criticized him then. But now they would not even say anything about him.
Have you heard of any criticism for Delap?
I've not.
Whether from the English,
or the Igbo.
Whether from Nigeria, but you know, when Jackson was there, I knew what even my fellow Chelsea fans what they were saying when Jackson was there. But now look at the lab.
You just said your fellow Chelsea fan. You are a Chelsea fan. No, you are a Chelsea fan.
That's a big slip of tongue. I can never be Chelsea.
All right, let's look at what's happening in the world of sports, like we have been looking at. And like I said, Liam Rosenio, my guy calls him Rosemary, was sacked yesterday by Chelsea, and they have appointed McFarlane as the assistant of Liam Rosenio to take over the coaching, to take care of the coaching problems that will be coming up, to be the caretaker coach of Chelsea while they go for Julian Nagelsmann. What do you think about that?
Nagelsmann said he's not interested.
No, that's what rumor says.
He said he's not interested.
He's not interested.
Probably he's not coming to Chelsea. The next person they are looking at is Bournemouth's coach. That's Ariola. That's the next person.
They want to destroy another person's career, B.
Anyway, the guy said he will quit the job after this season, so he's already offering himself, but
to come to Chelsea.
Yes. But Nagelsmann says he's not interested.
But looking at Chelsea, looking at their track record, do you think there's something that can be done?
Of course, there's always something that can be done.
I mean, what if Nagelsmann came to Chelsea now?
You will need to buy players, not these players.
Yes, not these players. You have to sell.
Almost this full squad, you can only say you leave like 3 players there. For me, you leave only 3 players. That's João Pedro. I don't have any problem with João Pedro. Palmer now is on and off.
You know why Palmer is
not sure he's supposed
and then that is somebody they are comparing with Bruno Fernandes.
Palmer. No,
many people are comparing Palmer with Bruno Fernandes.
I see no reason why you should be doing that. That would be very sentimental of you to.
No, that would be very, very awkward. You should be taken outside and flog.
Palmer and Bruno
Fernandes.
What category?
Now the thing is that when you look at actually what's happening, you will also see that there's a news around Kepa. Yeah. No,
that's their keeper.
Their keeper, but making some statements looking at the situation surrounding Chelsea. What actually has happened to Chelsea? He moved from Chelsea to Real Madrid. That actually has really resulted to a lot of improvement in his career, and he has said many things. What do you think about their goalkeeper? That's Sanchez. Well, Kepa and Sanchez, who is even better?
I don't know. I don't know who is better, but you see those 2 people, they have similar problems. I don't know. Sanchez today can just decide to be very good. As in, when you say he's very good, he's very active. The next day you see the same Sanchez, he will just give the ball to an opponent to come and score. I don't know, and Kepa has that ability too. He has that characteristic. He has that similarities. But at the end of the day, you see that both are very good keepers. Both are very good. But at the end of the day, I won't say Kepa is even better than Sanchez.
Sanchez, right?
I still prefer Sanchez. For the few times I've watched
because Chelsea, of the ball playing,
he used to, make some decent saves that you say yes. But Kepa sometimes, whether his head will just keep.
Okay, let's talk about goalkeepers a little. We are talking about goalkeepers now, and can we bring in Senne Lammens, the Manchester United goalkeeper, into the likes, compared with him with the likes of Liverpool goalkeeper?
That's Alisson.
Alisson and Gianluca Donnarumma, and even Arsenal goalkeeper.
No, I won't put him in that comparison.
So we should leave him for now.
No, for now.
We should leave him.
He's not yet in that level. Okay. He's still a young boy.
He's still a young boy, actually.
Coming up, so I won't put him in that category. That's why I'm a Man U fan, but I won't put him in that category.
You won't put him in that category.
Donnarumma is far
from PSG.
He's a senior man.
He's a senior
man. You can't just put him there. Raya has done so much. If not for the club he is, that is trying to put shame in what he has done. Raya has done well.
Raya has really done well. Yes.
I won't put him in that category.
All right, let's take a look at the newspaper headline. What is happening in the world of sports? Looking at that from the Nigerian angle. This is what this paper is really pointing out. We have Nigerians high trophy glory across European leagues. The likes of Victor Osimhen and Ademola Lookman with Paul Onuachu, the badass goal scoring transponsor guy. Now you have Mino agrees new 5-year deal with Manchester United.
Well deserved.
Well deserved, yes, very well deserved. Now we have in the boxing, Itaoma set for O2 Arena debut. Itaoma set for O2 Arena debut. I mean, in this boxing game, he's a Nigerian, and he's going to really show the Nigerian blood. And he has been recently compared with Anthony Joshua, which he said no. Anthony Joshua is senior man. Please don't put me in that shoe yet, because
don't just put me there yet.
You know, it's something that we're looking up to. Now we have. In the FIBA, that's a Women's World Cup, we have France coach, Women's World Cup, not the Falcons. This is in basketball. Yeah. We have France coach, warrior of the Tigress threat. This is the upcoming World Cup basketball that is coming up later in the year, where the French coach has said that she is actually afraid of what's going to come with the Tigress. Now moving over that, we have Juventus as Alisson alternative. There's Juventus. They are looking at Digi. I mean, Digi was one of the finest goalkeepers we ever had,
and he's still the finest. The finest that he has gone to a league that people don't see him that much.
People don't see him that much.
And the club is playing for Fiorentina. Not even Inter Milan that will say okay. At the top, but
I really don't like what happened to Digi in Manchester United. But let's move on from that. Arsenal, ambitious that transfer. Well, Adagula, it's up to you. If you want to go,
really up to you.
It's up to you. If you want to go,
he can see what's
happening in the Premier League table. That's where we are going next. And we have Fernandes will win Ballon d'Or at City, of course. Fernandes will win.
Of course,
he will win Ballon d'Or at City.
If not at City, assuming he's at Bayern Munich.
Bayern Munich. Why, my God.
If just that he's at Man U,
yes.
You are not there.
Yes,
you can't be putting him that shoe.
And we have Chelsea sack Rosenio, that's your Rosemary. Nagelsmann.
But God will vindicate him.
Yes, God will vindicate. Of course, in his salary, he was, the payment was actually, all the payments were.
No, it's not such. You can't have a contract that you just go
and take all the. Yes. Then we have Arsenal lead 35 million euro Fernandes race. That's the Nigerian Rangers defender. Yeah. And we have Verona reject permanent Urban deal. Now Simeone offers positive Lookman injury update, and Adam eyes more goals for Sevilla. Now let's look at the game yesterday, where Manchester City won Burnley, and Erling Haaland had to score the opening goal, and then Barcelona had to win their game yesterday still, where they played 1-0, and Lamine Yamal had to score a penalty. Well, Lamine Yamal yesterday was injured. Looking at it,
that's an hamstring injury.
That's an hamstring injury. It can happen to anybody, and we are looking at that he's going to come out to be fit for the World Cup. Now let's just move over to that Arsenal. The issue with Arsenal, basically, what's happening with Arsenal, and now Manchester City is on the top of the Premier League. They are topping with goals. It is something that everyone, for Arsenal case, people saw that coming. Look at the Premier League table. They are on the same points.
Arsenal are just exhibiting their culture. We can say, culture.
And this is the fourth time. This is the fourth time in a row they are coming second.
It's not their way of life. But another person worthy of note is Chelsea. Remember, these people were, let's say, at number 6, like 2 weeks ago.
Yes, of course.
Now at number 8, and this number 8 could even go as far as number 10 if Brentford gets a draw against Manchester United and Everton or Sunderland gets a win. Chelsea are going to number 10. So it's worthy of note that position is temporary.
Very, very, very important to note that also the first 4 people who are topping the league, who are in the first 4 positions in the Premier League, they are sharing the same points likely.
First and second,
third and fourth are sharing the same point likely, to tell you how the
race is tough.
The race is very tough, because anybody that snoozes will lose.
Now Manchester City and Arsenal can't afford to lose any match.
They can't afford to lose.
In fact, draw. If you just draw and the next person wins, you just know.
It may look like this Premier League trophy will come to any of them.
Yes, now
we come to any of them could be just with points, with a point or with even goals, because that's what I'm actually seeing.
We should not write off Arsenal yet.
Seriously, I wish Arsenal could look into themselves and have an introspection, because there's a lot of positivity, I would tell you. Arsenal actually has displayed that tenacity.
Of course, there's a time I used to say Man City does not even deserve to carry this league, because at the time they were also, let's say they were playing something else, they were flopping, But at the time, since change, Arsenal began.
At that time they were flopping was the time Guardiola had issues with family, had the family issue.
Even after the family issue, there was a time Man City were not consistent this season. This is not the Man City that won 3 straight or 4 straight Premier League. They were not consistent. Only that Arsenal had to do what Arsenal knows how to do.
Now I want to ask, okay, they know how to do what they know best by bottling. Yeah. Now I want to ask you a question. Do you think Manchester City of Aguero, Kun Aguero moment, Manchester City of Yaya Toure, Manchester City of these England nationals, do you think that Manchester City team, when they come in here, they can win this current Manchester City team?
If you had to play them in a face-off, if you bring the list of those people then and now, probably the only people that will survive this list will not be more than 4.
Right.
So Manchester City of then is way better than this.
Because then the match is actually okay. Looking at Kun Aguero, who can you compare him?
Haaland, no, you won't tell me that Haaland is better than Aguero.
No, you won't tell me that Haaland is even. You won't tell me that Aguero is even better than Haaland.
Aguero
you won't tell me that
he's a legend.
He's the legend, but you won't tell me that Aguero is still better than Haaland.
I prefer him.
I prefer Aguero, but I can tell you that Haaland is actually one of the best.
Of course.
Because you know Haaland is not a dribbler. No. Aguero is a dribbler, a poucher, and a shot.
Has a shot stature, but you can't take the ball from him.
No, Aguero should be a goal. He can even keep going.
He can play from the wing. Can play from Aguero was too.
Aguero was actually good.
It was complete.
Now talking about Yaya Toure, who do you think in the midfield can Yaya Toure replace Rodri, or do you think Yaya Toure could replace someone like
Yaya Toure and Rodri?
Because I'm actually going to play them today in my game.
Comparison. If not for injury that's happening to Rodri, Rodri is a good midfielder.
Rodri is a very good midfielder.
I would say there are 2. I will just give it that they are on the same level. I don't have anyone that I will say, but if you have to pick, to pick, I will pick Yaya Toure.
I will pick Yaya Toure all day because
that is far.
Yes, you know I'll pick Yaya Toure all day because Yaya Toure seems to be more articulate. He knows how to. And then one thing about this game of football, especially Manchester City, it looks like whoever that is going will be replaced with the right person.
Yes, that
is what a team is. That is what a good team is.
That's the problem I'm having with Chelsea.
No, why you go back? No, I don't want us to go back to Chelsea. I don't want us to go back to.
They sacked. Release Rosemary. Maybe now you are putting the assistant to replace Rosemary,
and they will play well in the next match. They will really play well because of the energy, the emotions are there. Remember what happens when you sack a coach? When the next coach is coming.
Rosemary won almost 5 matches when he came.
Yes, he won almost in a row.
Now they are pushing. They are forgotten the past. Now,
well, it happens in football. It really does happen.
Let's see what will happen now.
It really does happen. And this is where we are drawing the curtain close on this edition of Sports Wrap on Aneke TV. I am Good Hope Chukuma, and thank you very much worldwide for always doing this with me. It's always a pleasure. And we're going to see what happens in the Premier League tomorrow evening. Yeah, we're going to see what happens in the Premier League tomorrow.
The weekend.
Yes, and over the weekend and also on Monday, because the Premier League now is going to be very kind of tough. And you for watching, thanking you for every time you tune in to see what's happening in our world. I will be right back, and we'll be right back tomorrow. Maybe not same time, but you're going to have an update about the time. Have a wonderful afternoon and morning. Bye.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Leadership, in its deepest sense, is not the occupation of authority, but the assumption of moral weight. It is the invisible burden of choice, the negotiation between power and conscience, between what is possible and what is right. In every society, but especially in Nigeria's complex and evolving democracy, leadership becomes the mirror which a people either recognize their dignity or lose sight of it. Integrity, therefore, is not a decorative virtue attached to leadership. It is its very substance. It is the invisible thread that binds intention to action, promise to fulfillment, and power to responsibility. Without integrity, leadership becomes performance. With it, leadership becomes philosophy in motion. To speak of an egalitarian society is to speak of a moral imagination, a society where human worth is not negotiated by birth, geography, tribe, or privilege, but recognized as an inherent truth. Yet, such a society cannot exist in abstraction. It must be constructed through the ethical decisions of those entrusted with power. In this sense, integrity is not merely a personal virtue, it is a structural necessity. Nigeria, like many post-colonial societies, carries within it a tension between promise and practice. Its constitutional ideals often rise higher than its institutional realities, and in that gap between aspiration and execution, the question of integrity becomes unavoidable. For every broken system is first a broken commitment, every weakened institution a reflection of compromised truth. When leadership loses integrity, societies does not simply become inefficient, it becomes fragmented. Trust, once fractured, does not merely disappear, it recedes into cynicism. Citizens begin to expect failure as normality, and governance becomes a theater where hope is repeatedly rehearsed but rarely fulfilled. Yet, integrity in its truest philosophical sense is not merely the absence of corruption, it is the presence of coherence. It is the alignment of inner conviction with outer action. A leader of integrity does not simply avoid wrongdoing, they embody consistency in a world that constantly rewards compromise. In such coherence lies the foundation of equity, for inequality is not sustained only by economic imbalance, but by moral inconsistency, where rules apply differently depending on proximity to power. An egalitarian society demands more than equal laws. It demands equal moral application of those laws. This is only possible where integrity governs leadership. To build a society, institutions must outlive individuals, and principles must outweigh personalities. Yet, even institutions are also as strong as the moral will that animates them. Integrity, therefore, is not an abstract ideal suspended above realities. It is the force that determines whether systems remain hollow structures or become living instruments of justice. There is also a deeper philosophical truth. Societies do not collapse suddenly. They erode gradually through repeated exceptions to integrity. Each compromised decision becomes a precedent. Each silence in the face of wrongdoing becomes permission. Over time, what was once deviation becomes culture. And yet, integrity is never beyond recovery. It is continuously available as choice. It is the possibility of return. In leadership, it is the decision to be accountable even when no one is watching, to prioritize the public good even when private gain is easier, and to recognize that power is not ownership but stewardship. An egalitarian society, then, is not a distinction but a moral discipline. It is sustained not by slogans of unity, but by the daily ethical labor of those who govern and those who are governed. It requires a shared consciousness that justice is not automatic, it is maintained. In the end, integrity is the quiet architecture of trust, and trust is the foundation upon which societies either stand or collapse. Nigeria's future, and that of any nation, will not be determined solely by the abundance of its resources, but by the depth of its moral seriousness. For leadership, stripped to its essence, is not the exercise of power over others, but the faithful responsibility of power for others. And in that responsibility lies the possibility of a society where equity is not merely proclaimed, but lived silently, consistently, and justly.
7 days, countless moments, stories that shape the week. From decisions in the corridors of power to developments affecting everyday lives. From moments of challenge to stories of resilience and progress. This is where the week comes into focus. Week in retrospect, only on Aneke TV.
In every age of human organization, there exists a question older than modern management itself: what makes a system endure? Not merely to grow, not merely to succeed, but to remain strong, coherent, and alive under pressure. The answer, again and again, returns to one principle: teamwork. But not teamwork as slogan, teamwork as structure, teamwork as philosophy, teamwork as the hidden architecture of what we call a virile organization. To describe an organization as virile is to speak beyond growth metrics. It is to speak of resilience, the capacity to absorb shock without collapse, to innovate without disintegration, to expand without losing identity. A virile organization does not merely function, it endures intelligently. And within that endurance lies a paradox. No single mind, however brilliant, can sustain it alone. In Japan, the philosophy of continuous improvement finds expression in Toyota. Here, strength is not concentrated at the top. It is distributed across every worker who is empowered to halt production in the pursuit of quality. A system where even the smallest voice can protect the integrity of the whole. In the United States, Google operates through a different but related logic: cross-functional collaboration, where engineers, designers, and researchers converge not as isolated experts but an interconnected problem solvers. The philosophical implication is profound. Intelligence, when shared, becomes structural power. A virile organization is tested not in comfort but in disruption. At Amazon, small autonomous teams, often described as two pizza teams, operate like cells within a living organism. Each unit carries responsibility, yet none carries the entire burden of collapse. When crises arise, the system bends but does not break. This is not efficiency alone, it is distributed survival. At Apple, innovation is not chaotic eruption, it is disciplined convergence. Hardware, software, and design teams move like instruments in a single symphony. It is in such coordination, creativity is not reduced, it is refined. Across emerging markets, Flutterwave demonstrates a similar principle. Its expansion across complex financial landscapes is sustained not by individual brilliance alone, but by coordinated teams navigating engineering, regulation, and partnerships as a unified system. Here, teamwork becomes something more subtle, the acts of controlled ambition. A virile organization is not held together by structure alone, but by belief. At Microsoft, a cultural shift towards collaboration redefined its internal logic. Competition was replaced with shared problem solving. Silos gave way to systems. And in that transformation, performance returned not as pressure, but as consequence of alignment. Even in smaller ecosystems, newsrooms, startups, and digital collectives in cities like Lagos and Port Harcourt, teamwork determines whether creativity becomes fragmented noise or coordinated impact. Culture, then, is not soft, it is infrastructure made invisible. Complex decisions demand more than intelligence, they demand perspectives. From global consulting systems to public health coordination frameworks, such as Nigeria's epidemic response structures, teamwork reduces error not by eliminating disagreement, but by organizing it. Here, disagreement becomes data and dialogue becomes precision. A virile organization is not defined by how loudly it rises, but how long it remains coherent under pressure. Teamwork in its highest form is not coordination, it is coexistence structured towards purpose. It transforms individuals into systems, systems into resilience, and resilience into continuity. And in that transformation lies a quiet truth. No organization becomes strong alone, it becomes stronger together.
thanks for joining us on The Insight. Remember, The Insight is that program where we bring to you heartbeats of issues, politics, policies, personalities shaping our nation. And looking at 2027 alignment, we are talking about issues. We step into one of the most consequential fault lines in Nigeria's democracy, INEC versus ADC, the clash of the law, politics, and public opinion. What may look like yet another internal party crisis in fact is a test of who really controls the life and death of political parties in Nigeria. Is the court interpreting the law in plain letters? Is it an electoral commission navigating its powers? Or is the invisible hand of political calculation working behind the scene? To help us unpack this, we are pleased to have with us Dr. Gosin Eze, public affairs analyst, whose unique opinion will capture how this dispute is reverberating on the streets, dividing the media and the minds of ordinary voters. And joining him is Dr. Kasmia Abo, a legal expert, a prince at the Temple of Justice, whose insight will guide us through the legal spine of this controversy, status quo antebellum, party autonomy, and the legal implication of INEC's action. As the battle over recognition, leadership, and court orders unfolds, Nigerian voters are left asking a simple but powerful question. When the law, the institution, and the street disagree, whose version of justice will shape our ballots in 2027? That's the heart of today's Insight. Doc, it's a pleasure to have you both join us on the Insight.
You're welcome.
Now, Doc, let's quickly run to these issues. And from a lawyer's perspective, let me get your opinion on why we are in court. Speaking to INEC, the ADC, we are in two courts here now. The course of law and the course of public opinion.
Thank you, and thanks for having me. Ordinarily, I would have recused myself from commenting on this matter, because whatever I say will be seen from the perspective of being biased.
From the perspective of being biased?
Because I'm of the Labour Party.
Okay.
I'm the chairman of Labour Party in Enugu State.
Okay.
What is happening today is as a result of karma.
A result of karma?
Yes. You know, when you think the universe is very quiet and you fail to dig into the quietness of the universe, you make a lot of mistakes. ADC is a party. I have been there for almost 2 decades. So like Labour Party that was formed, Labour was formed 2002, and ADC, I think it was 2003 or 4 or 5 that they formed the ADC. And every party has a constitution, the grand norm, under which it operates its activities. And once you deviate from that grand norm, you get illegality. And illegality is null and void, of no effect, and of no consequential order. Why I say it is karma is that if you look at the people surrounding the ADC and see where they are coming from, you see what they have done in their previous parties. I'll pick our principal, Mr. peterobi.
Is he still your principal?
Of course, he's my former presidential candidate and also a principal. In politics or in life, once you are senior, you are senior.
Okay.
He came into Labour Party and was given all the structures of the party without questioning. There was no proper bargaining or conditions laid down by a led Labour Party. He operated in that angle, and you know, a movement that started from NSAS, civil society organization, the third force, the third force of Obasanjo and part of Tommy. They all joined with Labour movement and bettered peterobi. And I was thinking that after that Supreme Court judgment, the party would have sat down, have a kind of thanks you services throughout the whole country to the electorates, and then go into the party and say what exactly happened. Why didn't we clean this at the legal aspect of it? Because they won, by my calculation, they won that election. But instead, there was this infighting, unnecessary infighting, and they ported to ADC. The ADC matter, you are aware that ADC had a presidential candidate like Obi in Labour Party. And you know that there was a court judgment that removed Ralph Nwosu. His term ended 2022. Our problem in this country is that we refuse to obey the law. That's our problem. So if a court pronounces now that Kasmi Abu is no longer the chairman of the Labour Party, if a court makes that pronouncement and are failed to pursue it, to vacate it, you cannot become Labour Party chairman.
Are you saying that after the 2022 convention that re-elected Ralph Nwosu, that they didn't go to court to vacate that order?
Let me come. You will get it by if you inquire more. I'm not from ADC. Okay. But that is what Kachuku is alleging. And even the third man, I think, what is that his name? The third chairman.
Nafi Gombe?
No, it's Nafi Gombe. Yes, Nafi Gombe. There's another man, another chairman.
Okay, the one leading the 23.
Yes, of course. He's alleging that his time has expired. Even if it has not expired, why can't you go to the constitution and look at how you can acquire a party? Is it a measure? Is it a coalition? Is it an entrant of the new members? Okay. If you go in and find out how it is done, you must carry all the stakeholders along. The problem is that they are accusing each other of betrayal. That is the problem. In terms of what happened, ADC and Mark, they are in court. Federal High Court. Mark appealed, according to Amuptan, Mark appealed that judgment since last year. He appealed an interlocutory in judgment till last year, and it was in a court of appeal for 5 months. Right? And Amuptan was saying that appealing that particular judgment was unnecessary because it was not dealing with the substantive issues. That was where, and let me make this statement. It is Igbo says, Igbo says that no okay no nago, okay no sinke no nago, no head no fe.
What does that mean?
Well, it means that it is that rat that is in the house that will tell the rat in the bush that there is meat inside the house.
Okay, I will come back to you, Doc. You're welcome. No, looking at this issue, Doc, let me get your opinion. Do you hold similar opinion or you differ on this? And why should ordinary Nigerians in the streets of Kano, in Enugu and Lagos care about what is happening in ADC?
I don't differ with you.
You don't differ?
But I have to make some other contributions towards that. I've been following the political trajectory of Nigeria for a long time. The peterobi, Kwankwaso, David Mark, Arishola, and they behave as if they are not reasonable.
As if they are not reasonable?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
In terms of the method by which they went into the ADC. Like he said, ADC was an existing political party with structure, all levels, and with constitution. Let me flash your mind back to how APC emerged. It was a combination of CPC was led by Buhari. They collapsed CPC. ACN was Tinubu. They collapsed. These are political parties that collapsed. And then ANPP, led by late Dr. Ogbonneonu, was they collapsed. And then part of APGA, led by Rochas Okorocha, collapsed. Their identities were submerged, and another name came up. But in this case, individuals assembled themselves, went to a political party that was existing before. If they had, like Rufai said, if they had gone to register a new political party, and maybe INEC denied them that opportunity. If they are going to another party that is existing before them, they shouldn't come there to hijack the national secretary and national chairman. And these are people, all of them, peterobi, Atiku, Kwankwaso, Amechi, all of them have presidential ambition. And you can imagine when they went into ADC, they went there and came up with their own structure, neglecting the other party, the other structure that the party had before they came in. So they made a fundamental mistake. And like you said, any pronouncement by judiciary in this country must be challenged by somebody, even when it is true. They have no reason to go to another political party. They could have come in there individually as members. If they had been, peterobi had been in Labour Party, he is their principal. Atiku had been in PDP. Amechi had been in APC. Kwankwaso had been in NNPP. Did they collapse those political parties they belong to as to dovetail to ADC? ADC was there already.
Okay.
This is what I mean. So it is not a question. And when you talk, if you look at the emergence of APC, Buhari was the arrowhead. There was no challenge about who is going to be the presidential candidate. Even Tinubu, who had it, suppressed it. When he was offered the vice presidential, he said no. He recommended Zimbabwe.
Doc, that's, we understand it correctly. Are you hinging this crisis on the fact that there are, mirrors of ambition of these players in?
No, the approach they used
is wrong.
You come into ADC was wrong.
Okay, I'll still come back to you on this, Doc. But from a legal perspective, speaking to the fact that ADC, David Mark, had come out publicly to infer to the fact that INEC was part of this process and had sworn an affidavit in court to the process being a very free and due process we have followed to arrive at David Mark Arebeshola leadership in ADC. And the same INEC turning back this time around to take a different position.
Well, I think no legal principle is cast on this stone. It depends. It involves with court judgments, rulings, orders, and so on. What has just triggered this is because of the order of the appeal court.
The order of the appeal court.
Yes, we say status antebellum.
Okay, now that we are talking about that,
you are right.
Status antebellum.
You must go back to the originality of the matter.
What's the originality?
If I will say to the extent I know, I'm not a member of ADC, and I'm not
speak from the perspective.
The perspective of law is very simple. When did Bala and David Mark group began their fight? Who was in charge? If you look at the person who was in charge, the person should be in charge now.
So who is that person?
Yes. If you ask me, and if I'm correct, I will say Raf Musu was in charge before now, before Mark and Bala, because Bala is saying he's not, he's a vice chairman not, under Raf Musu. And Raf Musu equally resigned, right? And they said his tenure has ended. It's a complicated matter. So if you go back, and the court says, do not do anything that will render our judgment nugatory, useless. For instance, let me use this house as an example, housing Aneke TV. If there is an intention to destroy this house, and Aneke TV runs, or the tenancy runs to court, and court says maintain status quo antebellum, this house must stay. The person who wants demolish should do what? Leave the house until judgment is done. The tenants should go back to their respective flats. You can't tell the tenants to leave the house. You can't tell the person who wants them to demolish. Because if you demolish, then the judgment of the court at the end of the day will be rendered useless because you have done the act. If you ask the tenants to leave, you are now leaning on the landlord who wants to demolish the house. So let the parties maintain their positions. Tenants go back, landlord remain until the matter is determined. If you do anything at all, the court will not have anything to say at the end of it. So in the case of ADC, go back, which is let him go back and he start fighting with his subordinates like vice chairman and so on. David Amanga group should go away.
But it's on record.
But let me come. The INEC says we are not organizing Bala Mohammed or David Mark. They should all stay. No correspondences from these two groups. But because the hawks are more in David Mark's side, you know, Atiku, Obi, who has public sympathy. These are public sympathy now. It doesn't translate to win an election. You know that. You can come out here and they start shouting you this, like the time Jim Obodo was there. I don't know. You know what happened. So at times certain things doesn't translate to election winning.
All right, Barrister, from the perspective of law, is there any known law in Nigeria that allows INEC to create a vacuum in political party leadership? Well,
let me forbid that. Let me answer you in a simple way. Okay. God forbid that any lawyer should know all the law.
Okay.
It's a non-legal maxim in law school.
Okay.
God forbid that any lawyer should say he knows all the law until you make a research.
Okay.
The INEC is hinging their decision on the order of the Court of Appeal. You listen to
the Court of Appeal.
Yes.
I'm just asking, Doc. Okay. INEC interpreted the order of court. They do not have that right to interpret the order of court, and that was what they did.
They're not interpreting; they're obeying.
Obeying.
There's a difference between interpreting.
It happened in Labour Party.
Barrister did incite status quo antebellum, and he has described that from the perspective of the law that says you should return to the position of things before litigation, right?
Yeah.
And in this instance, if INEC, and he has leading to controversies, one should expect that INEC should have gone back to the court to give interpretation.
No, they can't go back. They can't go back. The matter has been sent back to Federal High Court for trial. That matter is the Federal High Court, too. It's not a Court of Appeal. What went to Court of Appeal was interlocutory judgment given by High Court, right? Which Court of Appeal dealt with and said, go back for a trial and go back for a substantive issue. I cannot deal on this because the matter is still there. Let me tell you, it happened in Labour Party. This issue of Nenadi taking over. Court gave an order. The other group, Abure group, went to High Court, Appeal Court, filed a stay of execution, which is still now under contention because the matter is coming up next week, right? And the INEC now recognized Nenadi Usman. Why is the public not crying about that judgment? No, public judgment. This is our public judgment. Is public opinion is has nothing right in law.
Yes.
So people are now, because they have seen their arrowhead is favored, they kept quiet. If INEC now says yes, there is a stay of execution, we don't recognize the Nadi and Abure, go and finish a matter at Appeal Court, you will see outcry now by the public.
All right. You wanted to give an opinion on this, yeah?
Give you an information. How one may ask, how is it through a Congress or through resolution that Mark and Marisha emerged? Was there any Congress by ADC?
But
the question.
The question is very clear. There was no Congress.
No, there was no Congress.
This instance,
so how did they emerge?
The neck of a political party.
Which neck?
The neck of a political party is the highest.
Are you aware that the 17 the state chairmen were not consulted? 17 are now with the Kogima, who is now national chairman of the functional chairman of ADC. 17. Enugu State here, Stella Chukuma, is with Kogi. They weren't consulted. I told them that don't ever, if a cock sees a guinea fowl being roasted and is happy, let it be known to that cock that one day to be his turn. Right? Today, ADCs, just ordinary how many months they are disarray. But we planned our own for 2 years, right? If you want to acquire a party, go to the constitution and read the constitution of the party.
But is alleged that INEC has attested to this process following due process.
Well, I have not seen that that thing they are talking about. I like INEC do the counter.
If there was a congress
so forth, that brought them in.
The Mark and others, INEC will attend that.
Yes, INEC will attend that convention.
Doc, during this line of arguments, we can infer that perhaps that this if this is a fight on who controls the future of Nigerian politics, that people are scared of this coalition standing?
No, I don't, from day one, I didn't see that coalition work.
You didn't see that coalition work?
Of course, the same thing with me.
I know.
I know it will not work.
I know it will not work.
Do you know why it won't work? As he said, as Doc said, Atiku is there, Abechi is there, Obi is there, Kwankwaso is there now. These four guys, these four gladiators, have their eye on the ball, and the ball is the presidency. And for me, you don't even know the intentions. You don't even know the intention of Amechi, of Atiku, and now Kwankwaso. Somebody accused Kwankwaso, I think it was Balawu yesterday, and Kwankwaso is working for the presidency and working for APC.
Kwankwaso?
Yes, somebody said it. Let me tell you, don't you ever believe a politician.
Did you hear the press conference that Kwankwaso?
It doesn't matter what he's saying. The tension is there. The mind is what we are looking at, our politicians.
So I personally, I felt that Kwankwaso made a political mistake by not
remaining in NPP. Kwankwaso is a good material for...
He may be a stooge for presidency.
But perhaps...
If he had remained in NPP, or even declared for APC, and work with the party at any level, at any opportunity, he stands a chance of being a good material for the presidency when in 2031 it goes to the north.
Okay.
But like you said, people may feel that he's there just as a trial run or to deceive people. So we cannot continue to me, illegality is illegality, and no matter how long it takes, illegality will come to show.
Illegality will come to show.
Of course.
The people of South have endorsed Amechi as their presidential candidate.
Okay.
I don't know if the people of Southeast have endorsed Obi. And all of them, nobody's, the way they all sound, nobody's ready to step down for the other. The obedient movement is saying that it is either Obi or
nothing.
All right.
There are two groups. Some people guys in the two camps are saying it must be Atiku.
Okay. Now, but we speak to Kwankwaso. It's been alleged that since Kwankwaso moved, and there's a possible, alliance between the Kwankwasia movement and the obedient movement, the possibility of that ticket is what has necessitated what we're witnessing in ADC. That it seems to be that some people feel threatened by that union.
Well, as a politician, you must always be threatened by any movement. If you are not, then you're not a politician.
All right, let's speak to the opposition politics in Nigeria.
Yeah.
The ADC is facing similar fates that the Labour Party has witnessed. There's no opposition political party that is not in litigation.
Yeah.
And people have led accusation to people wanting to move Nigeria towards a one-party state.
I don't believe that. I don't believe in it.
Absolutely.
No, you don't believe that too?
The problem we have in the Labour Party is Mr. Peterobi.
Mr. Peterobi had left Labour Party?
Yes, but he's still there.
How?
He's the one I went to Ahumahia under illegal act and say stakeholders meeting. Imagine a politician who says that stakeholders are appointing the national chairman of a party. Has it been done anywhere? Stakeholders. Not NEC. Obi is not a member of NEC, not a member of NWC. He went there with Alex Uti, and Alex appointed his own stooge, Mokocha secretary, and he brought Nanadi, her former colleague in the PDP cabinet, as chairman of the party, an illegal act. And they went to court. And what we had was at the end of the day, Supreme Court says it's a party affair. Then they went to Federal High Court. I've never seen where a Federal High Court is interpreting the judgment of a Supreme Court. We have means of interpretation of court. If you are not satisfied with any of this, go back for what they call judicial review. right? Or you pick the process in Civil and Sheriff Process Act for interpretation of that judgment. And you ask the court, what exactly did you say? Because let me tell you, in court judgment, not all lawyers can interpret court judgments. Not all lawyers. That is why some of them will carry appeal from High Court to High Court of Appeal, and they still fail. If you read judgment in between the lines, you will see where the judge is referring to. But some of them, because they are in a haste, they will just carry judgment. We want to appeal the whole judgment, because the appeal says the whole judgment. The ground of appeal, the whole judgment. At the end of the day, you end up appealing for nothing. Okay. Right? So, for Federal High Court, Justice Peter Lifu to rise up to say he's interpreting Supreme Court judgment is an aberration. And we will hear what the appeal court will say before 27th of this month.
All right, I'll still come back to that. But Doc, looking at what is happening in Nigeria currently with the opposition.
Let me react to the one-party system, one-party state.
Yes, and that's where I'm still going. That's where I'm still going. I'm still talking to the issue of one-party states.
Any country that practices one-party state is a constitutional matter.
It's a constitutional matter.
It must be part of their constitution.
Okay.
It's not by proclamation. This is just the imagination of people.
Yeah.
Because they think everybody is moving into APC. They are now. It's nonsense as far as I'm concerned.
So, what is happening? Do you see any political party fielding a candidate against the APC?
Many of them.
Why now?
We have 19 political parties.
19 political parties.
That has the capacity?
Oh, not capacity.
How do you know capacity? If you are credible and Nigeria believe you are good material.
So how do you know
Obi can move to AA, or NRM, or OPM.
It's been alleged that Obi is going to NDC.
Alleged.
The new party.
Not even alleged, it is true.
The new party, NDC. The Bayelsa State government is the leader. And I think one other person is trying to go to PRP. These presidential candidates, because they know they have failed.
All right. On that note, we'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll continue to probe this issue. Stay with us.
You're welcome.
The Insight with Uche Osai.
Having the political will to confront whatever is the challenges.
Igbo man wrestles with the tortoise that had a lot of ingenuity, a lot of ideas, and the tireless. It will take the bold mind of government in power to say, let there be electoral reform, no matter whose ox is broad. I was there. We did everything. All of us came and supported him with our last block.
In-depth analysis, expert views, real voices, uncover the stories shaping Nigeria today. Deep dive, honest, unfiltered, only on the Insight with Uche Osai on Aneke TV. Join us. Many thanks for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, we're looking at INEC versus ADC, the clash of law, politics, and public opinion. And with us in the studio is raising these issues are Dr. Gossen Eze, public affairs analyst, and Dr. Abu Kasmia Uchenna, legal practitioner and Enugu State chairman of the Labour Party. It's been a pleasure discussing with you on this issue.
You're welcome.
But let's go back to the position of law and citing the Electoral Act 2026, Section 83, subsection 5, explicitly states that no court in Nigeria shall entertain jurisdiction over any suit or matter pertaining to the internal affairs of a political party. Section 83, subsection 6 prohibits courts from granting interim or interlocutory orders in such cases, aiming to prevent the conflicting court orders that have historically, in any way that would infer or destabilize the internal affairs of any political party, speaking to the leadership of political party. And I'm asking in this instance, what we're witnessing with the ADC, is it not against the Nigerian law?
Well, I think this law just came up of recent, and this matter has been in court, right? And laws are not retrospective,
okay,
right? They are talking about subsequent actions. You cannot take back law and say because the law came out today, the matter I have in court should be. But even at that, Supreme Court had made it clear that political parties and political conflicts has to be resolved internally. And you know, in party constitutions, there is an internal mechanism of resolution of conflicts. You must go through those hurdles before you can now, if you say you are denied fair hearing, court can now see where you are denied fair hearing. But I'm in support of these provisions of the Electoral Act.
Yes,
but
the framers of this have seen
yes,
this situation.
I support it. Why I support it that we borrowed a leaf from USA. USA, we have more than 2 political parties, but you only hear about Republican and Democrats. Even America have independent candidates. But I've never seen where after their congresses anyone had gone to court, right? You go through the internal mechanism of the party, go on they set up a panel, you go on an appeal committee of that constitution, of that this thing. Before the end of this, we will now say, look at this. And I don't even support the campaign. It is there, Electoral Act. Somebody after primaries to the camp. So this is a new innovation. It's a law that will broaden party politics in Nigeria. It's a law that will make politicians to think twice before he jumps ship to another political party. So I'm totally in support of that provisions of Electoral Act.
Okay, but we can apply that retrogressively.
Yes, after all this now, we begin again from 2027. Then no court will entertain all these injunctions, ex parte, interlocutory judgment appeals, and so on, to end.
All right, but Barrister, does INEC actually have any power to freeze or withhold recognition from a party leadership, you know, mid-litigation or...
This is a court order. What INEC has done is a court order. It's a court judgment, the court order. If they had not done that, people will still be making noise as of today. In Nigeria, it's very common in human endeavors. If something did not favor you, will start making noise. Right? Did not favor will be at his group. Right? But they're the cause of the problem. They're the cause of the problem. Initially, Kachuku was shouting, Nwosu has no power to give our party to another people without due consultations, and they kept quiet because look at the characters of those who are in that. David Mark, is he a Democrat? David Mark, look at him. From being, I knew David Mark when he was governor of Niger State, military governor. Okay. I was in secondary school that time. From there he moved to Minister for Communication when he said telephone is not for the poor man. We were talking about that telephone should be in every. If you want to make a call in enugu, you go to Polo. That time.
But he has interpreted that.
Forget about his interpretation. We know we are aware of his intentions that time. He's not a Democrat. The man that annulled June 1993 general elections, Abiola election. Mark was the one. Banga said it. He has a gun on his head that if you make him president, we kill you. Okay. It is there on his paper, in his book, Banga's book. Right? He has not denied it. He has been Senate president for almost, I think, 12 years or 8 years. David Mark, from Idoma area, in Benue State, Mutubo. You can't see a good access road to his community. There is no health care in his community. No good primary school in his community.
That doesn't stop him from being the leader of a party.
No, he's not a Democrat.
But he should be a leader through the normal process.
Yes, normal process. You can be even a president, but we have to say a record.
He's not being the governor of his state to ensure that those roads are...
Senate president for 8 years.
Senate president of
Minister.
Nigeria.
Governor.
He's the Senate president of Nigeria, sir.
Then.
Yes.
Yes. He cannot influence sighting of good roads in this thing. When ordinary House of Rep member, the Enugu South here, brought a good road here to Ugwaji. Ordinary House, a first timer. And what are we talking?
All right. But still on the position of law, if at the end of the day, INEC is found to have misinterpreted the appellate order, what are the legal...
The court will still give order. The court will still give order. Either if you go to court and the court gives, if they are in court, at the end of the trial and you make your final address, you can now ask the court for costs. That I'm looking for a cost of 100 million naira against INEC. It is within the power of the court to say I'm giving 100 million naira or 2 naira or at no costs. At the end of the day, the court will say at no cost. Every party will bear its cost.
Okay. Look, I'm coming back to you on this issue of INEC. Looking at what's happening in the ADC, INEC did not in any time delist the leadership of Labour Party when they were in litigation. And in the instance of the PDP, we didn't see that happen as well.
They're not the same scenario, as far as I know, I think.
These are leadership tussles of...
No, but there was no other, there were no other group of persons that came and hijacked Labour Party. There are two contending, parties within the same party.
There was Julius Abre on one hand, and there was Nenadi Usman on the other hand.
Yes,
all contending for the
leadership. There were no other individuals that came up and took over the party.
No, but in the instant case,
they called the listed Abre. The INEC removed Abre's name. Through court order.
Recognizing Nenadi Usman.
Yes, through court order. They're not of the same thing. The court says, go back to status antebellum. The court said, recognize Nenadi Usman. The judgment was clear. INEC should recognize Nenadi Usman. It was a clear judgment. Even though we don't agree with that, but the court has made a pronouncement. So of course in the other group said, she cannot be our chairman. There's a battle still going on.
But you, on your own part, if I should ask you, would you have expected INEC to disobey court judgment, court order?
What is the court order in this instance? That all parties should revert to status quo antebellum. And what we have is different interpretation.
Hence, court said that it is the duty of INEC to delist whichever group.
Yes.
I've listened to argument from a spokesperson of the ADC, who is a lawyer as well, interpret status quo antebellum to mean the state of things before the litigation, which means that INEC should continue to recognize the leadership of ADC led by David Mark Aremeshola until the case is...
He has an interest. Has an interest.
It's not the true interpretation.
Okay, has an interest.
After all said and done, where does this leave the reputation of INEC?
As far as I'm concerned, INEC has not done anything that should do their integrity to a question. They only are respecting court order.
I'll mark you, INEC chairman is a senior advocate of Nigeria. People have forgotten that these are, when you go to social media, you see some people who are eating eba and abadu, right? Insulting senior advocate of Nigeria and says this is a professor from backyard. And I laugh at them because they are free to say whatever they want to say. The man came out and expositorily said what that case is and why they did what they did. That David Mark and Guzgu should go back to Federal High Court and ask for a selected hearing of their matter. So the court can now give order and they will know if they continue with this their street protests or this their King Ndagati movement around the street. They will not field any candidate by 2020. We have 1 month and now. Today is 9th. Till the end of May, 30th May, all parties must have submitted the names of our candidate. That is why Labour Party is working at the appeal court to get the judgment of the Lufu quashed so I can have our candidate. And let me tell you, let me shock you. I want to say this, it's on air. The man who caused problem in the Labour Party is still there in the Labour Party.
Who is the best?
Peterobi is still there.
How is he still there?
Yes, the woman she appointed is still there. They are asking for a truce that we should come together and have a discussion. The group of Alex Uti, they wrote me. We are going to have a meeting. Why they are doing this is because they are now at the helm of affairs by Utinadi, and they are begging us to sheath our sword so that Nadi can be our chairman. But Nadi is not a Labour Party member.
She's not a Labour Party member?
Yes. We have said this thing from one side. And Nadi is controlling the ADC in Kaduna. before that judgment. That was the coordinator of ADC in Kaduna. You know, what they want to do is to get Labour Party and coalesce with the ADC. Make it a kind of coalition, as what Doc said by ANC,
and if they should do that, the two names will be subsumed.
Yes, they get a different name.
Pick a different name.
But time is ticking out. If you fail to do the right thing, you will be dragged by the tail. But until you crash.
But Barrister, from an outsider's perspective, should we hold the courts accountable for this crisis of interpretation that we're witnessing?
How can you hold the court accountable when the court is there? Court is there. You brought a case before them. So like saying that police is corrupt when the police is in their counter enjoying themselves. You cry and come, police, please, somebody has stolen my car, and the police will come out and start doing. The law will start saying police should be blamed. If the river did not see your leg, will it swallow you?
But you know, the rulings that we have been described to be so ambiguous when it comes to
by the people that have that kind of mind. There's no ambiguity in the judgment.
Okay. See, away from the scripts this time around, let's look at the reality on ground. What's the future for opposition in Nigeria, given what we're witnessing and the electoral timetable for 2027? You know, speaking to the likes of the Labour Party, the ADC, the PDP, these are front-line political parties. And the reality on ground is that these political parties may not be able to field candidates in 2027.
It's their fault. You don't need to ask him because he's not of opposition, right? You ask me, it is the fault of the politicians within the opposition flank.
Doc, would you agree that it's just the fault of us?
It's the fault of us now. Yes. We put our house in order.
Okay, so in other words, the issue around one political state is quite
if there should be real coalition, they would have started long time
ago to plan it.
Maybe 10 political parties may decide to form one alliance and seek for registration for another name of another party. From there, they muzzle all their resources together and form a stronger opposition.
Or you enter the party without a problem. Are you aware that there will be enter Labour Party from PDP? Did they dissolve him? 2022. It was seamlessly done. There was no illegality. There was no chaos.
He saw he couldn't win the primary.
The political situation in 2022-23, is it the same from the situation?
Why is it different? Because they are entering another political party with deformity of principle. They must go in line with the party constitution and there will be no problem. If they had brought all the ADC and NWC members and said working committee member or NEC together and put them in one place and plan the takeover of ADC in line with the constitution, nobody would have made any noise. Even Kachuku should have been carried along. Even Bala should have carried along. Even the state chairman and secretary should be carried along because they're too powerful. State chairman and secretary are too powerful. They are the members of NEC. Right? No former presidential candidate is a member of NEC by party constitution. Unless you have been president, former president, or former House of Rep member, or former senator, or former House of Assembly member.
Kachuku was not part of ADC NEC.
Yes, he was.
Speaking to NEC, now yes. You agree to the
fact he's not part.
The NEC is the most powerful organ of a political
party. But Bala is a member of NEC. They were not carried along. The ADC state chairman, they are members of NEC.
Why did it take Bala how many months to realize that he was not happy, he was not carried along?
Well, any day, any man gets up and sees that he has been wrong, he has the right to challenge the criminality. Crime has no time. If you commit crime in this Aneke TV, Aneke will look for you for 100,000 years. If you are still alive, you'll be caught and account for it.
Okay, Doc, let me pose this question to you directly. Looking at the number of votes who've witnessed in 2023, peterobi had about 6 million votes. Atiku, the same, where Kwankwaso had about 1 million plus, and we're looking at over 12 million votes with these men coming together. Does you think that there are people who are threatened by this, irrespective of the time they came together, but by the fact that they are talking in the same group? Does you think that there are people who feel threatened?
The scenario that played out that time is not the same thing now. The trajectory has changed.
The trajectory has changed?
Yes, gone dramatically.
It's not the same. You don't even calculate votes the way you are calculating it now. The assumption, what you are trying to say, that if you add Obi's vote and Atiku's vote and Kwankwaso, it's very challenge it. Is it not what you mean? But now it's not going to be like that.
Why? What has changed?
The political biosphere has changed. One, Kwankwaso is running for the presidency on the same platform with Obi, ADC. Amechi was a presidential aspirant
in
APC. He was defeated, and he ended up by saying that APC is regretting having chosen Tinubu.
Okay.
Kwankwaso is only in Kano. And when you look, even when you look at the difference of votes each candidate got in all the places, is that sometimes if you take Kano for instance, APC had 1.something million, and NPP had the same thing with a little margin, even though it's more than that of. As it is now, Kwankwaso is no longer in the same camp with the state government. Okay? So what are you expecting from Kano now? It's going to be tough.
Okay, for once
the same thing with Lagos.
For once of time, what is the solution? Let me come to Barrister from
solution for what?
What is the solution to the quagmire the opposition political parties are in right now?
Play by the rule. Play by the rules of the political parties.
Play by the rules.
Yes.
And obey court order.
Obey court orders. Now that we're moving away from court order, court interference in political parties, obey party orders. We are going to have what I will call monsters handling political parties. Do you know why? Because court can no longer interfere. The end of this, we will sit down and say, Dr. Eze is our governorship candidate. And
by consensus.
You can't go to court.
Consensus.
You go to party committee or appeal committee. They maintain that Eze is our candidate. You remain there and support Eze. You don't need to go to court to get injunction and say stop Eze from parading himself.
And you can't jump ship.
You can't jump ship.
You can't jump ship.
There will be sanity in political parties. Even though it will be difficult at the first instance, but there will be sanity.
All right. Let me come to you again from political aspect. Is there hope for Labour Party with the way things are on ground?
Labour Party is waxing strong. Before long, I said that our matter at the Court of Appeal will be judgment will come up before 27th of this month.
Okay.
And when judgment comes up, what Alex Oti and Obi are looking for, we all sit down and say, Nenadi might leave, Abure leave, we have another decision, or Abure stay, Nenadi support him, or Nenadi stay, Abure support him.
You say peterobi coming back to Labour Party?
That is his personal view. If he wants to come back, because if he participates in the ADC primaries, he can't come back. So he must make his decision known between now and 15th of May.
Between now and 15th of May?
Yes.
But Doc, he's of the Labour Party and part of the opposition. Do you see any of the opposition political party being able to challenge APC in 2027 election?
I don't see anyone.
You don't see anyone?
I don't.
You agree to that?
Why should I agree with him? We root them out. Even we are going to root them out. Just watch out. The masses are angry.
Why?
Just the last 2 days. I think 2 days. The new state government said I have stopped this petty traders taxation.
Yeah.
Go out and hear what people are saying.
What are they saying?
That it is not enough. They should do more.
What do they want?
What they want is the house rent they should interfere in house rent. They should interfere in housing. They should interfere in school fees. They will interfere in a lot of areas. I'm telling you, they should go back to them and tell them that people are angry. We're going to chase them away from Agnach. They will.
You know, one thing about life is that no leader has ever come out, and everybody is praising him.
Of course.
Nobody. Even
Jesus.
In human relationship, there are people whom you help, whom you take care.
Yeah, what's the name?
They will still hate you for doing them nothing.
Yes.
Okay. But you're still of the belief that APC will win 2027 election?
It's a done deal.
All right.
Let's wait. It's a done deal. Let's wait.
That's where we'll draw the curtain today on the Insight. And if you're watching us, we'll be speaking to Dr. Abu Kasmir Uchenna, legal practitioner and state chairman of Labour Party in Enugu State, and Dr. Augustine Eze, a public affairs analyst, and we've been looking at INEC versus ADC, the clash of law, politics, and public opinion. You've listened to the experts speak on this issue. Let us know what you think about this conversation. Reach us with the hashtag, The Insight, all at Aneke TV on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter as well. Till we'll come your way, same time tomorrow. I'm still your host, Uche Osai. Doc, it's a pleasure speaking with you.
Welcome, my brother. It's a pleasure.
Welcome.
Chinua Achebe taught the world that African stories matter. Through Things Fall Apart, gave voice to the colonized and challenged stereotypes. His legacy is proof that the pen can shape perception and preserve identity.
In a world that never stands still, where stories break in seconds and moments shape history, one station keeps you connected to your nation, to the continent, to the world.
From breaking news to powerful stories, from business and politics to culture, lifestyle and entertainment, we inform, we inspire, we keep you ahead.
This is more than television. This is your window to everywhere that matters.
Aneke TV. Move with the world.
their family. It is designed to ensure that no federal employee is left without assistance in the event of workplace hazards. To support implementation, government has established an EAC's help desk and signed a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund. The arrangement is intended to simplify claims processing and enhance transparency through a payroll-driven system. The Nigerian Senate has called for emergency security measures in response to worsening insecurity across parts of the country, including a proposal to suspend political activities in 8 states. The motion was debated during yesterday's plenary in Abuja. The affected states include Borno, Plateau, Bauchi, Benue, Niger, Sokoto, Kebbi, and parts of lawmakers in insurgent attacks. The senator it poses serious risk. The debate followed report of a Boko Haram faction holding 416 women, children, and elderly persons hostage in Borno State. The group reportedly issued a 72-hour ultimatum, raising further concern among lawmakers. The Senate has also demanded an urgent operational review of the armed forces and called on security agencies to prioritize the rescue of abducted civilians before the expiry of the ultimatum. Meanwhile, troops of the Joint Task Force Operation Hadinkai have killed 24 terrorists during a coordinated counter-offensive in Kukareta area of the Northeast Theater of Operations. The operation was confirmed in a statement by Military Information Officer Lieutenant Colonel Sani Uba. The attack reportedly began shortly after midnight and lasted until about 3 o'clock in the hours. Troops successfully repelled the assault, forcing the attackers into retreat while inflicting heavy casualties. A significant catch of weapons was recovered, including AK-47 rifles, machine guns, RPG tubes, mortar tubes, grenades, and large quantities of ammunition. The military described the operation as a major success. 2 soldiers were injured during the encounter and are receiving treatment, while ongoing clearance operations are continuing along withdrawal routes of the terrorists. Former Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has been arraigned before the Federal High Court in Abuja over allegations involving the illegal interception of the telephone line of the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu. He pleaded not guilty to a 5-count amended charge when it was read to him before Justice Joyce Abdulmalik. Proceedings were, however, stalled during hearing of the bail application due to missing documentation referenced by the defense counsel Oluwole Iyamu. The court subsequently adjourned briefly to allow proper filing of the documents with no opposition from the prosecution. Former Anambra State Governor and Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general election, Mr. Peterobi, has hosted the European Union ambassador to Nigeria, Gautier Mignot, at his residence in Onitsha for a private engagement. Mr. Obi described the meeting as enriching, noting that discussions covered national and international issues, though details were not disclosed. The engagement comes amid growing political realignments ahead of the 2027 general elections, where Obi is expected to remain a key contender. Reports suggest emerging political discussions involving possible coalition arrangements as diplomatic and political consultations intensify across the country. The Oyo State government has activated its emergency flood preparedness plan ahead of the peak rainy season. The announcement was made in Ibadan during a World Earth Day briefing by the Commissioner for Environment and Natural Resources, Ademola Aderinto. Authorities say rising risks are linked to climate change and rapid urban development. Drainage clearing and desilting operations have been intensified across flood-prone communities. The government has also strengthened environmental enforcement targeting indiscriminate waste disposal in markets, hotels, and industrial areas. Residents have been urged to desist from dumping refuse into waterways and to support ongoing tree planting and environmental protection initiatives. Governor Chukwuma Soludo of Anambra State has appointed Dr. Chinyere Anyadiegwu as the new chairman of the State Universal Basic Education Board, ASUBE. According to a statement by the Chief Press Secretary, Christian Aburime, Dr. Anyadiegwu currently serves as provost of Mwafo Orizu College of Education, Nsugbe. She's a seasoned academic with over 30 years experience across primary, secondary, and tertiary education, with qualifications including a PhD in English language and literature. The statement adds that she is expected to bring her extensive expertise in teacher development and educational reform to strengthen basic education in Anambra State. The Rivers State Police Command has launched an investigation into the brutal assault of broadcast journalist Orwell Ene in Port Harcourt. The journalist was reportedly attacked by a group of over 17 hoodlums while on assignment at Garrison Junction. Despite identifying himself as a reporter, he was beaten, injured, and robbed of his belongings during the attack. He is currently receiving medical attention. The State Commissioner of Police, Olubenga Adepoju, has assured that the perpetrators will be arrested and prosecuted. A formal investigation has commenced. The Nigeria Union of Journalists has condemned the incident, describing it as an attack on press freedom and demanding swift justice. Stakeholders in northern Nigeria have intensified efforts to combat gender-based violence with a high-level dialogue held in Kaduna State. The forum, organized by the Center for Information Technology and Development, brought together government officials, traditional rulers, and civil society actors to strengthen enforcement of existing laws. Participants identified weak prosecution and interference by influential individuals as key challenges undermining justice for victims. They also raised concerns over rising digital and economic abuse, calling for stronger institutional response and improved judicial commitment to protect vulnerable groups. You're watching Aneke TV news across the country. Remember, you can follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Aneke TV. Now, a quick reminder of major developments in the news. Federal government introduces new workplace compensation scheme for civil servants. Coming up shortly, Senate proposes emergency measures, including suspension of political activities in 8 states over insecurity. We'll be right back shortly.
Every day, your health shapes your life, your strength, your choices, your future. Because knowledge is the first step towards well-being.
This is
Health Matters, only on Aneke TV.
Welcome back. The Jigawa State House of Assembly has directed the state executive to recover all misappropriated public funds and impose appropriate sanctions on officials implicated in financial irregularities. The resolution followed a report presented by the House Committee on Public Accounts. The committee uncovered widespread financial discrepancies across ministries, departments, and all 27 local government councils between 2019 and 2024. Findings include overpayments, unaccounted checks, and expenditures carried out outside approved budgetary provisions. Chairman of the committee, Sanu Isiaku, said the investigation involved detailed examination of payment records, contract documents, and interactions with senior government officials. He noted that weak procurement processes and manual accounting systems contributed to the irregularities. Speaker Haruna Dangiatim commended the committee's work and directed that the recommendations be transmitted to the executive for implementation, including disciplinary measures against culpable officers. The Lagos state government has issued a final directive mandating residents across the state to participate in a monthly environmental sanitation exercise scheduled for 5th of April 2026. The exercise will run from 6:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources Tokumbo Wahab said residents are expected to clean their surroundings and clean drainage channels to prevent flooding and improve public hygiene. The state government confirmed that commercial transport operations will be suspended during the exercise, as transport unions have agreed to ground activities for the duration of the cleanup. Officials, including environmental health officers, will monitor compliance across communities, while enforcement of the environmental management law of Lagos State will apply to defaulters. Cross River State Government, in collaboration with the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, has commenced a training of trainers program aimed at improving yam production techniques across the state. The workshop, holding in Calabar, is introducing modern agricultural methods including tissue culture and hydroponic seed production to extension workers and farmers. Officials say the initiative is designed to increase yam yield from 10 to 30 metric tons per hectare by 2027, while also promoting sustainable farming practices such as intercropping with legumes. Commissioner for Agriculture representatives say participants will be expected to transfer acquired skills to farming communities across the state to enhance productivity and food security. Flutterwave has entered into a partnership with the Anambra State government to digitize commercial transactions and modernize trade across major markets, including the Onitsha main market. The initiative aims to transition the state's estimated $5 billion annual trade volume into a structured digital payment system using Flutterwave's financial technology platforms. Governor Chukwuma Soludo's administration says the move is expected to boost economic growth and formalize small businesses and expand access to digital financial services for traders. Flutterwave Chief Executive Officer Olubenga Abola says the collaboration will provide traders with modern tools for payments, invoicing and cross-border transactions, linking local commerce to global markets. 200 market women in Abia State have benefited from a 20 million naira empowerment program under the Ahioma Market Women Empowerment Initiative. The program, implemented by the Safe 10th Care Initiative, is the pet project of the wife of the governor of Abia State, Mrs. Priscilla Oti, aimed at supporting small-scale female entrepreneurs. Speaking at the launch in Umuahia, Mrs. Oti said the intervention is designed to strengthen women-led businesses and improve household livelihoods through sustainable economic empowerment. Beneficiaries and state officials, including the Commissioner for Women Affairs, Dr. Maureen Awohwa, commended the initiative, describing it as a structured intervention to support economic inclusion for women. Now in sports, Atletico Madrid manager Diego Simeone has confirmed that Nigerian international Ademola Lookman is close to returning to action after recovering from a minor injury. The 28-year-old forward missed recent fixtures following a knock sustained during the Copa del Rey final, but is expected to be available for selection against Athletic Bilbao. Lookman, who has scored 8 goals in 21 appearances this season, has been a key figure in Atletico Madrid's UEFA Champions League campaign. The club says his return is timely ahead of their semi-final clash against Arsenal, as they continue their pursuit of silverware in Europe. Also in sports, Super Eagles winger Philippe Otele has been handed a 2-match suspension by the German Football Association following a red card received during Hamburg's match against Werder Bremen. The disciplinary decision was upheld after the club's appeal was rejected, confirming his absence from upcoming league fixtures against TSG Hoffenheim and Eintracht Frankfurt. Otele, who is on loan from FC Basel, has made 9 appearances for Hamburg since joining in January, contributing 1 goal and 1 assist. The club expressed disappointment over the ruling and will now adjust its squad plans ahead of a critical phase of the season. Now in entertainment, media personality and actress Priscilla Ojo has defended her decision to keep her son's identity private, stating that the choice rests solely with her as a parent. Speaking during a podcast appearance, she dismissed online criticism and maintained that she will reveal her child's face only when she is ready. Fellow media figure Toki Makinwa has also supported the position, calling for respect for parental privacy regarding children on social media. Priscilla Ojo, daughter of actress Iyabo Ojo, continues to share selective updates on her son's milestones while maintaining her no-face policy amid growing public attention. And now to end the news across the country, here are the main points again. The federal government has introduced a new employees' compensation scheme aimed at strengthening protection for civil servants across ministries, departments, and agencies. The initiative was unveiled in Abuja by the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Mrs. Didi Esther Warsan-Jack, who said the policy is designed to provide structured financial support for workers who suffer injuries, occupational diseases, or death in the line of duty. The Senate has called for emergency security measures in response to escalating violence in parts of the country. During plenary in Abuja, lawmakers raised concerns over rising insurgent attacks and worsening insecurity in several states. The Senate specifically proposed the suspension of political activities in Borno, Plateau, Bauchi, Benue, Niger, Sokoto, Kebbi, and parts of Kano State, citing heightened threats to lives and property. Lawmakers also expressed concern over the abduction of hundreds of civilians by insurgent groups. That's news across the country at noon. For breaking news and eyewitness reports, call 070-3043-710. Follow us on Facebook and YouTube at Aneke TV. On behalf of Chidimma Sowa and the entire news team, I'm Good Hope Chukuma, thanking you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Need advert placements, coverage for events, or the latest news stories? Call 070-3043-7110 right now. Aneke TV, move with the world.
Good day, viewers, and welcome to Aneke TV, where we bring you real voices from the streets. Today, we are focusing on the current situation in Nigeria, looking at how it affects everyday life, from economy and cost of living to security, transportation, and basic needs. We went out to hear directly from Nigerians about their experiences and opinions about the present state of the country. Let's hear what they have to say.
The situation currently in Nigeria is very demeaning and appalling, in the sense that as youths of this country, we sometimes wish that we are not born in this country. And me, as a person, a young graduating from school, now trying to start up life and facing the situation so hard, thinking of how to, cope along with the high cost of living, things in the stuffs in the market, high cost of transportation, a little distance from your place to another, you'll be paying a huge amount of money because of hike in fuel price and all of that. So it's actually draining us as youth especially when we are unemployed, having nothing to do, and we are the little you're able to get from one menial job or the other, you are spending it as if like you are plugging the money from tree every day. So, but we thank God that at least we are surviving it. People who have been before us survived it, and we believe that Nigeria will soon become a better place to live. While at the same time, we as youths, we won't relent. We keep pushing and try to make things out of the little things we are doing to make things better in the country. So it's when you have something doing, you can actually, think of better things to, offer to the society. Because the situation in the country can actually frustrate you to do things which at the end of the day, the government will say, okay, the youth are not doing the right thing. You understand? But as much as we still have people thinking positively for the country, which I believe I myself am included. My goal for this country is that if I'm able to get my hands on things that I can, use and empower myself and empower others, I believe this country would be a better place for we, the youth, and every other person to, bank on at the end of the day.
The current state in Nigeria now is very difficult economically, and anyone with one wonders where they are, because anyone who has the plight of the fellow human beings who is very vivid and visible. It's no more something someone can say is hidden. Now, coming to me personally, because of my own revolutionary orientation of things, I see this thing as a positive, because I feel like for a long time Nigeria has been bedeviled by complacency and apathy. So I feel like as things begin to tighten up in the country, is beginning to increase the consciousness of the people to get to the threshold it needs to get to for us to be able to take matters into our hands as the people and move to the next level. I feel like the future of Nigeria is very, very bright. I feel that because I know that normally as in Igbo parlance, they say chukujeku, which basically means dialectically, there are contradictions. Everything that you see is progressive and is moving us towards where we need to be going. Even the hardship that you have are for a reason. So I feel like in Nigeria right now, no matter how hard things are, is a step forward, because dialectics is not always a straight path. Sometimes it goes up, it goes down. So I feel like even though things are hard, is moving us forward to the threshold we need to get to before we can change our condition.
The current situation in Nigeria now is very, very bad. It's very, very bad. Like for instance now, for transport, like from here to Ababa, before is 200, but now it's 500. Do you see the difference? So for instance, like I'm into printing, the cost of the material that we are buying before is not what we are getting it now. So the whole thing is changed, everything changed, and everything is very, very bad. And when it comes to electricity, before light used to, but now there is no light. The way I'm seeing this country now, I don't think there is hope. Do you understand? I don't think there is hope. The whole thing now is kind of, the thing is like, kind of, we are just getting it as if it's our culture. So it's mastering us. So that's it.
Everything is hard. Like, that's the main point. In every aspect, monetary, lights, like everything. From my house to my workplace, the transport fare, feeding, Jesus Christ. My salary doesn't last up to 2 weeks.
Honestly, it's a terrible situation. I don't even know where to start, because the thing affected the entire economy. I don't know. For instance, now, for the past 3 to 4 days, we've not gotten light. And you know, light is the major thing that helps in, a business, So as anything stands still, fuel also is the high increase. So the thing is affected, and once something like this started happening, it's affecting the entire economy. It's only God that can tell, because from the way I'm seeing it, I think it's like the thing is getting worse on daily basis. You know, it's getting worse. I'm not seeing unless by the intervention of God Almighty. For now, I don't think there's any hope for us now.
From the responses gathered, it is clear that Nigerians are facing a range of challenges in their daily lives, especially in areas of economy, transportation, and access to basic necessities. Despite these difficulties, many still express hope for improvement and a better future for the country. I am Sharon Uche, Aneke TV.
Every second, the world changes, markets rise, leaders speak, stories unfold. To keep up, you don't just need news. You need clarity. You need speed. You need perspective.
That's why Aneke TV brings you the global pulse. Accurate, reliable, right when it matters most. Aneke TV. Move with the world.